What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 10 of Revolutionary Instigators. Today, Ray and I are going to get into conspiracy theories and weed. So, welcome and enjoy the episode.
Hey, my man Logic, back at it again. That shit is, I ain't gonna call that groovy, that's just that hard shit, bro.
Yeah, that's a good one. I
That's
like that one by him.
That's that boom trap protocol.
Yeah.
Damn, Logic, and he represents College Park, Maryland, which is from the whereabouts that I used to roam when I was a youngin'.
Oh, okay.
You know, my mom went to UMD, got her master's degree from there, so shots out those Turpins. That's how so in Maryland, you don't call it Maryland, you call it Maryland. Just in case you ain't, there's a way to say
It's the accent.
It's Maryland.
Yeah, no, I got
Like
you.
you can't. Are you from Maryland? Oh,
Maryland.
get the fuck out of here.
Maryland.
You don't know me, cuz Maryland.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that.
It's Maryland. And people
Makes sense.
you can always tell who's from there by the way they accentuate certain
Parts of their words.
Yeah.
All I know about Maryland, I learned from The Wire.
Bruh, one of the hardest shows ever, bro.
I've been trying to get Lydia to watch it for.
She won't.
We just had our 3-year anniversary the other day, and I've been trying to get her to watch it for at least that long. Still no. We've watched the first episode twice.
That's it.
Yeah, but the fact that we had to watch it twice is ridiculous. Like, she's still not into it
The
after.
fact that you don't get hooked off of number one.
Yeah.
But first of all, congratulations on your anniversary.
Thanks.
Right? Number two, you might have to get a divorce because obviously the Wire situation might be that might be unresolved.
Yeah,
bro.
right. 3 years in,
And you ain't watched The Wire?
Still haven't watched
Bro,
it.
I gotta let her go.
I hope she listens to this episode at some point and hears this.
Hey, baby, I was thinking about letting you go. Just know.
She'll know she's wrong one day. The Wire is one of the best shows ever. I mean, you can look up any list online of best shows ever, and The Wire's on there.
Easily. And you know what's weird? I was listening to Donnell Rollins on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said that at one point people became so like politically correct about the show, and they're like, "Why you always shooting it in the hood?" And crackheads and drug dealers, which is why they moved it to the docks. So I know we think that the PC culture is something that's just like of recent, but it affected even shows like that, which is why halfway through, like the tone, the whole dynamic kind of like shifts a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Because the PC culture got to that show. They were like, stop showing all these black people as da 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 da. And it's like, dude, if it's a good show, it's a good fucking show.
Are you talking about The Wire?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I thought you were talking about the Chappelle Show. For
No,
some
no, no,
reason.
no, 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 no. The Wire. So they, as they were shooting it, there was a big uproar about the way they were depicting inner city Baltimore and the shit that was going down in there with the drug dealers, and they were like, you have to do something different. So which is why the show moved away from.
I liked a lot of the
later.
later seasons too. They were, I mean,
It was still great.
yeah, it was good
Still
all
great.
around.
Yeah, no, it was good, but from Donnell Rollins, from what he said, that's not the direction it was headed in to begin with.
Gotcha.
And then it kind of switched up, but still a good show. So can't really hate on it too much.
No, you can't.
Well,
welcome into episode 10. Today we're gonna talk about some things near and dear to my heart, at least, that are always fun to think about. I think when you get high, conspiracy theories just go hand in hand with that.
It's just
because
the
there's
thing,
that
bro.
you just have that out there thinking mentality. So
Couldn't agree more.
yeah. But to start off, we want to talk about a couple topics that are hard hitting, I guess, in the news right now. And one is Jussie Smollett, the actor from the show Empire.
It's so good.
It is.
It's so good.
It's like it's. I don't know. It's almost. I don't know how to say this.
It's
like
like
a conspiracy theory. It's almost fake that it was faked.
It's so wild.
It's too good.
I'm like, when I started reading the timeline of this story, I said, okay, Mr. Jussie Smollett, however you say his name, if you were trying to concoct the perfect fucking ingredients of a bullshit conspiracy, some truth concoction, you made a marvelous cake, motherfucker.
See, I feel like I would be so good at faking things like this.
Bruh.
I've seen too many shows and movies to
Well, yeah.
not do it well.
Facts.
And
Facts.
when I saw it happen to him, I mean, when I saw there was attack on him,
Mhm.
I just assumed, okay, famous guy, he was out late night, he got attacked. That was, it happens, I guess.
As did everybody.
But I mean, there's some details that came out about it that are not as they seem. So I guess let's set it up. Okay. So the story is that, first off, a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you know this part, that there was a note sent to the Empire set with cutout letters from like a magazine. Did you know that?
Did not know that part.
So apparently that didn't get a lot of news attention.
Mm-hmm.
So had to take it a step further, which was fake an attack. And I actually thought, from what I read when the attack happened, that they put a noose around this guy's neck. He's black, by the way.
Yep.
Poured bleach on him.
Yep, that's also correct.
Beat him up, yelled things at him, and then had masks on, I think.
Something to
Did they
that
say
effect,
something
yeah.
like that?
Mm-hmm.
And the weird thing is, I saw the picture of him like in a hospital or whatever afterwards, and he just had like a little mark
Like
under
a
his
little
eye.
scrape.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Where's the? Doesn't bleach like hurt? It does. Doesn't it at least make you a little like?
Don't your eyes get red or something?
Yeah, something happens. I know. Like I've cleaned really hard with bleach before, and it hurts. It hurts a little bit. Like your skin gets a little raw, at least wherever it touched. For a prolonged period of time.
Nigga, shouldn't you be at least nauseous?
Yeah, something.
Give me something. Give me a.
So I didn't think
one.
anything of it, but then he goes. I guess he goes back to work on the set or whatever,
Correct.
and everybody's very upset about it. And then come to find out, they can't find any surveillance footage of the attack happening. And I guess Chicago has surveillance cameras everywhere.
Yeah,
It's just
because it's fucking Chicago.
yeah. There's a lot of crime. So
dead people everywhere.
dead people everywhere. So apparently, what happened was he paid these men to fake this kind of attack on him. Maybe they actually hit him. I don't know where he got that scrape on his face, but I guess they picked up two people and they had been paid to you read about it very recently. I mean,
Yeah.
what did you hear about that? The
So-
people that they
So about the two dudes that attacked him. When I was reading the story, I saw the pictures of these two dudes. So there are these two African brothers. Shout out, y'all probably my cousins.
so they were black men.
Mm-hmm. And from what I saw, they even had African names. And these were, of course, if they're African, they're gonna have African
Hold
names.
on, I have no, never mind.
Go ahead, nah, do it.
So were they not saying go back to Africa? They were saying come back to Africa. They were trying to kidnap him. That's what it really was.
Come back, motherfucker.
They were like, you are not supposed to be here.
So I saw the pictures of these dudes, and one of these from the results of the ass whooping that he got. When you look at these two dudes,
You're like they would have killed him.
they would have.
He's not a big guy either. I don't think.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, like, dude, come on. And I'm like, I looked at these two dudes, like, see if you could find Jussie Smollett attackers. These two motherfuckers, if these were the assailants in question, it's like, dude, they would have pummeled this guy into a pulp, man. But yet you come out with one scratch.
This USA Today article says Jussie Smollett directed brothers to pour gas on him and yell slurs. Prosecutor said.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is the same article I read.
I haven't seen pictures of the actual guys.
You might have to go to.
He in his mugshot he looks like fuck. I fucked up.
I fucked up, bro.
I fucked up.
Go to the CNN article. If you can find CNN, it'll show you pictures of the two attackers. See, to go to that second one right there. Yep.
And we did just read that I guess Empire dropped him or not? Is it Empire? Yeah.
Yeah,
Empire dropped him out of the same or the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So he's probably done. I would assume after faking something like this.
And you know what's crazy? He did it in order for Empire to, like, what, make his role greater. Or
I would assume it's
his...
because it's. I mean, I would assume that show's not doing great. And that they would need some type of publicity to drum up for the show, but maybe it's for his role. I don't know. I have no idea.
See, I heard opposite. I heard that that's the attacker.
Oh.
What?
And then this is his.
And yes, those
friend.
are two brothers. Yeah.
His head would have popped
Bruh,
if they had tried to do
if they would
anything.
have flicked this motherfucker too hard, he would have died.
Wow. Yeah, they're
And
big.
you trying to tell me those two jack motherfuckers beat your ass and you came away with a regular face?
Yeah.
Come on, bruh.
How did he think he was going to get away with something like that in this day and age? Like, it's not even worth the attempt.
Dude, but I
You
mean,
have to be in dire straits. Like, you have to be at the end of your rope in terms of, like, options
yeah.
for that to be something you consider.
But think about what you say this a lot, that any publicity is good publicity. And bruh, he's gonna come away from this. He's probably the most popular guy in the world right now, next to Donald Trump.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's gonna I don't think it's gonna go well for him because one, he's charged with a felony, and two, I mean, how good of an actor is he? I don't know. I haven't seen the show.
I mean, so from what I've heard, Empire is an okay show, and it
like
has a lot of
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Like
Yeah.
Taraji P. Look, if this show ever gets to the point that you listen to Taraji, I'll risk it all for you. I don't care if you 60 by the time you hear this.
She just turned it off. If she was listening.
Taraji, I love you. But nah,
man,
I've never watched it. I just don't watch popular shows like that. I'm not a contrarian.
It's on Fox or
it's on,
something like that.
I'm not gonna watch nothing on Fox
unless it's football.
That's it. That's it. And even now, football's getting a little iffy for me. But at the end of the day, you know, with social media the way it is now, and with, like, you know, all the attention that somebody can garner from a situation like this, I think that this might actually, if he was to say start a page, a podcast, his own TV series, and even if it was like a reality TV show, I'm
it's gotta
telling
be
you,
something.
he can win from this, bro.
He's got to have some type of gimmick now.
Right, but because, like, I mean, you got to think about it like this. I know it is.
People are gonna pay him to fake hate crimes.
It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something, right? Like, take for example, somebody like Kim Kardashian. Up until that point, you would have thought that there's putting out a sex tape where you're completely naked and a dude is, like, for not fake fucking you getting smashed on camera for everybody to see. Everybody up until that point, everybody will, like, that will ruin you. You will fucking forever be like what's the ostracized.
And it wasn't even a good sex tape.
It wasn't a good sex tape.
Like,
all that
Ray
ass,
J.
you couldn't throw it back more, Kim.
Like, Ray J, you couldn't get better angles.
Like, come on,
set the
son.
camera somewhere else.
You couldn't tell her to put an arch in her back, bro.
It's ridiculous.
You a rookie.
It's ridiculous.
You got that rookie stroke.
That was
Ray
before
J.
she had all the work done, I think.
Yeah, but her ass was still fat at that point, though.
Before the conspiracy of her ass and why her legs are so thin and her
God.
ass is so big. It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, she was still a bad
Stop
bitch,
taking
though.
fat out your legs and put it in your ass. Now they don't look proportionate.
Yo, here's the thing, though. Would you, if your girl could, not to that extent, but if she could take a little bit out of her thighs and put it, would you advise her against it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't like it?
I just don't think that's a necessary
So say
procedure.
so say the
You
only
can do whatever you want, though.
Yeah, so say the only thing that it would happen if she just took a moderate amount would just give her, like, a same, like, for my girl, your girl, whoever girl, same proportions, just a fatter ass, and you wouldn't be able to tell it was fake. You wouldn't. There would be still give to it.
So not Kim Kardashian's ass.
So just a tad bit of a more of an apple bottom.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I'm taking that every day of the week. Every day of the goddamn week, bruh.
No, I hope she doesn't listen to this episode. I'm like, fuck. Damn it. I hope she turned it off after that first comment about the wire.
Hey, if you still listening, this might be over. It's like, nah.
Oh, man.
But no, I get why Jussie did what he did. I get why, because
He's desperate.
yeah, and nowadays you don't have to worry about that being the end of your career.
No, well, yeah, because literally, the next story we're about to talk about took over right after this happened.
Yeah, and let me before we go to the next story,
Yeah.
let me make a statement about how this is why you don't play identity politics. This is why the individual comes before all else, because when you play the identity politics, it leaves room for somebody who's gay and black to capitalize off of playing that game for his own benefits. So, oh, I'm gay and black, bet I can swindle y'all motherfuckers so easily just because I'm those two categories that y'all said were special. But if we looked at him as an individual, he wouldn't be able to play people like that. So that's why you don't do this shit, because it knocks the door open for people like this, and he'll be the first of many.
Well, hopefully not, but that may happen. Hopefully they're better at faking these
Jesus Christ, I hope
crimes
so,
if they decide to go through with them.
And he's an actor. You couldn't give me
I
like,
know, damn.
the fuck?
I mean, okay, so maybe it's not so surprising that he did it, because this is what he does on a daily basis. He acts. So he was just doing it. He was playing a role.
He just
playing a part.
Because when he gets busted on Empire, he goes home afterwards.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He's going home this time, probably still, because he's a celebrity.
That's
but,
true.
Yeah.
And do gay dudes like jail?
Problematic. I have no idea.
Should we not go down that road? Nah,
I don't think we are going down that road today, but
let's try.
maybe a side episode we'll have on that. Jailhouse life.
That's gonna be our last episode. Hey, that shit's too funny.
The other story we wanted to get into, Ray really knows nothing about, and I am
Not at all.
not going to claim to be an expert on by any means, but I thought it was pretty relevant to talk about. So there's a Coast Guard officer that was arrested, literally, I think it was yesterday, Christopher Hassan, for drug. He appeared in court Thursday on drug and firearm charges. The Justice Department says he planned to kill people on the scale rarely seen in this country.
Oh, okay, let's get into how.
Yeah, so I guess, at least I saw the arsenal of guns he had and weapons, and it was quite big. But I guess he also had some type of list. Let's see. He's a white supremacist who kept a small arsenal in his basement apartment, had drawn up a list of Democratic leaders and cable news anchors that he planned to kill.
Sheesh, man.
Yeah. So, it was an interesting story. It was weird because Trump commented on the Jussie Smollett thing before he commented on this.
Did he really?
When they both came out right around the same time. But, Trump's Trump, so
yeah,
who knows?
I mean,
but I saw outrage because I make sure I see, I look at his tweets sometimes, or I get notifications about him. And
I mean, he is the president.
Yeah, so I looked at the first couple comments, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? You're commenting on this and not the Coast Guard thing?" And it's like, who cares, man? It's just Trump. He just does that shit now.
Do you, boo-boo?
Yeah, so let me see if I can find this picture of the guns. But, yeah, so what do you think about that? I mean, that's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the parallel I'll draw here is that most terrorist attacks in this country, and the ones that you are most likely to suffer from, will come at the hands of people born in this country. They're not going to be from people from ISIS. They're not going to be Islamic extremists.
It's going to be white guys.
It's going to be white guys.
That's it.
Those are the people.
I think we talked about that on a previous one, or at least I made that comment before. It's always white guys that perpetrate these mass shootings. And I think one day I want to have an episode about mass shootings specifically, or maybe guns. I don't know, just gun
really
violence.
Get into that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely dig deeper into those topics then. But it's mostly white males.
Yeah,
it's pretty much all white males.
So which confuses me because, I mean, that article you just said right there, it did say terror attack, which I appreciate.
They just use that word.
Well, I mean, previously they weren't using words for homegrown.
Oh, you're
terrorists. right.
They weren't. Yeah.
They were saying,
especially with a guy that's a member of our military.
Yes, they would typically say deranged male or mentally unstable individual.
Deranged man that everyone said could never have done this.
Such a nice guy.
I could have never seen him murdering 25 people. It never could have happened.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're a fucking idiot then. Because how did you not know? God damn. Sorry.
Motherfucker.
Sorry.
Nickel.
You see this picture? You see this?
God damn, he was strapped.
Yeah, he had quite a few ammo boxes and guns.
Strapped. Wow. That is a lot of ammunition. But
I
then,
wonder who's on the list.
I mean, I think the
usual
suspects.
I wonder if they let that list out though.
Like
wait, there it is. Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren was definitely
list
on
of
there.
targets on January 17th, including.
Oh, I was right. Elizabeth Warren, right there.
Yep. It's all Democrats. Yeah. So Charles Schumer.
Didn't Kristen Gillibrand already get shot?
Cory Booker. Oh, God.
That's the woman from who got shot in Arizona, right?
Is it?
I think so.
Damn, and she came back from a lot. She got shot in the
Dude,
head
she
or
got
the
shot
neck.
in the face,
Face,
bro.
yeah, somewhere up there.
Jesus, and she was in
Kamala Harris, Alexandria
Ocasio.
Ocasio-Cortez,
Yo,
Maxine Waters.
I could have guessed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because I mean, like, I see what she's trying to do, but lady,
Well,
you got to dial it back because
well, no,
they'll shoot you.
yeah, well, apparently, yeah, but she's
You gotta dial it back.
the youngest and the most out there of all
Yeah,
the politicians.
very
She's,
outspoken.
I mean, she uses social media because she grew up with it, so she's gonna be the one that gets on their nerves
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is. I mean, it's just another. Luckily, this is something that they caught. You know,
Yeah.
we're not reading about another thing like a dude in Vegas where he shot up all those people at the
From a
concert.
window,
and shit.
cuz.
This is insane. But you know, this is just another topic we just wanted to bring up as a kind of a relevant topic in the discussion today.
But my guy, imagine just for a second. I know this is hypothetical, but what do you think the reaction would have been if this guy's name was Mohammed Awalazi or something like that?
Well, one, it would have gone against all the statistics.
Right? No, but of course.
Plus,
But
they
given,
normally use bombs.
yeah, but I mean, there's been a few mass shootings,
Yeah.
by Islamic extremists. But imagine if that had been his name.
Yeah, no, it would be, the outrage would be insane. Now it's
Yeah.
just no one gives a fuck.
Yeah. I think
Um,
I don't have Twitter on my phone. I think my phone would have downloaded Twitter for me
I think
and
it-
sent me the notification if he had been an Islamic dude.
Yeah,
A Muslim
it,
dude.
it might have. This is what you know what? Let's just jump right into it. We're going to talk about some conspiracy theories because
Let's get it.
there's one I found today I didn't even know.
Okay.
And we were talking about it earlier. You were saying mass shootings have crisis actors. No, there's actually a conspiracy theory that the mass.
I wasn't saying it. That's what a
No,
conspiracy
yeah.
was saying.
Okay. Well,
Just
that's
making
what. Yeah,
sure.
sorry. You were talking about
I was
conspiracy
ta-
theorists
yes,
thinking things,
yes,
but
yes.
this is saying that they're staged by the government, mass shootings.
Hmm.
So, but let's jump back first. Let's start at the beginning, I guess. So,
Okay.
in terms of conspiracy theories, we
Yes.
want to.
Let's first define what a conspiracy theory is, because I think there's a big debate about the conspiracies themselves, but I don't. There's very seldom.
What you want, Webster?
Let's go Webster. I think that's pretty.
Merriam. Excuse me, Merriam-Webster.
Uh-oh.
Who the fuck was Merriam?
Fuck him.
Webster's the one everybody knows.
That
Merriam was his wife.
Oh, Merriam. Fucking
Nobody
me
says
too.
Merriam.
Fucking me too. Goddamn it.
Anyways, so the definition of a conspiracy theory from Merriam-Webster.com.
Shout out Merriam.
Yeah. It's a theory that explains an event or set of circumstances as a result of a secret plot by usually powerful conspirators.
Okay, so let's start there.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a tight, concise definition and a parameter of what we're playing by. So now that we can dig in, because I know people may have different ideas about who the conspirator and the conspiratee is, but let not.
I don't know, the way you said that just made me laugh.
I don't even know if those are words, my nigga. I just made that up.
What's that place you can get definitions for
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. I just gotta know I just need to know the Urban Dictionary definition of
Can I guess it?
conspiracy theory.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, sure.
This is
go
my
ahead.
guess. Niggas be lying. Oh, okay. That's a lot.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
Oh, it says a label that can be affixed to any argument or point that one doesn't like to avoid having to provide a valid response to it.
Yes. Every motherfucker I know.
Yeah, that's kind of why people believe in conspiracy theories, because they can say I'm an expert on this and no one can combat it because I can't talk about things that aren't real. Excuse me, some of them are. Some of them are.
And also it's like who did we have on previous podcasts? Huge conspiracy theorists. Your boy Terrence.
Oh, is he a conspiracy?
Oh, yeah.
He had a few. He did have a few, I guess.
Like, remember Abducted in Plain Sight, that movie? He thinks that
my
whole thing was a conspiracy.
Fuck. Okay. Damn, are we talking about that?
Were we or have we?
Are we about to?
We are about to.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Fuck.
You want to get into it? We don't have to go into it deep, but he believes so. All right, if you haven't watched Abducted in Plain Sight, let me give you a general synopsis of what this
Netflix
movie is about.
documentary.
Netflix documentary came out a while ago, but has made
Did it?
yes, it did,
Oh, okay.
but has made a recent resurgence for some reason. Now,
It's got a cool title.
yes, so in this documentary, there's a family. There's two parents, three sisters, and these parents, a family moves in, and there's a dad, a wife, and a child. Correct, or did they have a child?
They had five fucking kids.
They had children. I
They
forget.
didn't ever talk about his kids.
That's why I didn't even remember.
Yeah.
Right.
Bob
Something.
Bergdahl.
There he goes, Bobby. We're gonna call him Bobby,
Yeah.
right? So this fucking guy Bobby moves into this community, entrenches himself within the church. Everybody loves this guy. Now the family next door, they have out of these three daughters, they have one particular daughter. This
Her name Judy?
Jane.
Jane.
Jan. It's Jan.
Fuck.
Fucking Jan, right?
Might be.
So Bobby has an infatuation with Jan. So over time, he starts cultivating this little relationship with her. Calls her his favorite. Nobody has anything to suspect.
Taking weird pictures of her.
Yes, all
But
types of shit.
Parents do not suspect any
Sleeps in
foul
her
play.
bed. Parents allow him to sleep in her bed,
Oh, God.
dude, and all this crazy shit. So one day, he convinces her mother to allow him to take her on a
Horseback riding.
Horseback
trip.
riding
It was,
trip, yeah.
but he didn't pick her up from home. He picked her up from like piano lessons.
Yes.
So it was somewhere else that the family wasn't.
yes,
So he picks her up from piano lessons,
fucking peers.
and then they're gone. Keep going.
For a
Go.
long
Go.
time. So during this time that he has Jan, he has her in a trailer, convinces Jan.
Wait. Go back. Hold on.
Okay.
They're the main
Oh,
part
yeah.
of this whole documentary
Uh-huh.
is the fucking parents and how idiotic both of them are.
Yeah, but you can't.
You have to get into it because you
Okay,
said
you're right,
when
you're right.
so he takes the daughter,
He-
but they're gone for one night. They don't come back.
Mhm.
The parents are worried. They don't do anything. They're like they'll be back the
Yeah.
next day. They're gone 2 nights.
Yep.
They don't call
Stay
the
nothing.
police. They don't do anything. They're like they'll come back. The wife of the guy that has taken the kid,
Mhm.
Bob, the wife of the Bob comes over and says, I'm worried. Where are they? 5 days goes by and they have
Nothing.
not called anyone. So
Nothing.
it's Sunday. The mom of what's her name, Jan,
Jan, yep.
picks up the phone and calls the local FBI office, straight to FBI, no
Yep.
cops.
Yep.
She's like 5 days in, a guy goes straight to FBI.
Yeah.
Voicemail,
Yep.
and it says call this other office, and she's like, oh, I don't want to stir up
Wait.
anything. It's like your daughter's missing.
She's so dumb.
So what they call him Monday, right?
Mhm.
And the people come by and they're like,
And she even still tries to convince the
Yeah.
FBI agents, oh, it's nothing that
the
big.
FBI had to say,
And he has to go.
It's your kid.
Yes.
She's not here. She therefore is missing.
Yeah.
And kidnapped, assumed kidnapped by this
Yeah.
man. So continue. Sorry. So they end up finding not finding. No,
I missed a
go.
part. Keep in mind, this is a part that happens before, and it's all part of Bob's manipulation. He gets real cool with Jan's dad. One time he comes over to Jan's dad and says, hey, you want to take a ride with me? I want to look
Oh my
for
God.
some girls. I'm really
Shit's
horny.
crazy. So
Blah, blah,
crazy.
blah. So once they pull into a spot and he leans over to Jan's dad and just says, look, man, I'm just so horny. I really need a relief. And convinces Jan's dad to give him a fucking hand job, bruh.
And this man cries
And he
on
cries
camera.
on camera about, dude,
Because he cheated on his wife. Not because he gave a man a
Yes.
hand job, but because he was unfaithful to
Skips-
his wife with a man.
skips over the part that he gave another dude a hand job. Like
At the same time, little does the husband know the wife is doing the same shit with him.
she's fucking the guy.
She's doing the same shit with him. She had an affair with him for years.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes.
I'm now in my head. We're talking about this on the podcast. The people probably have no idea where we're going with this.
Okay.
But
let's get back on track.
I don't even remember.
It's so much
Sorry, that's my dog whining in the background because he can't come in and get on mic 3.
because he hears how intense we are, bro. This
But
shit's crazy.
the crazy thing is, so many things happen in that documentary. I don't even remember the order anymore.
Yep.
Because we can't go through the whole story. It'll
can't.
take 30 minutes.
But yeah,
Watch the fucking documentary. It could be a conspiracy. It almost seems like the parents are in on it with with the guy, not necessarily in on it, but they're so dumb it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Basically.
So let me try to wrap it up. Because the way I was going about it, I was giving too many details that would take too long. So basically, this guy is able to kidnap these people's daughters, this couple's daughter twice, kidnapped her 2 times.
The
The second time had her for months.
They sent her to
Yes,
him
and they get her
on
back.
a plane.
So they get her back and they send him because he manipulates her so much. He convinces her to tell her parents to come back, and so
it has to do with aliens
Yep.
and telling them they need to have sex.
Yes. Kidnaps these parents twice. So this girl twice also has sexual relationships with both of the parents before it was in jail
And after.
was in jail for a few months after the first kidnapping. Gets out after a few months.
Then has the affair with the mom.
Yep. Then has the affair and convinces them to drop all the charges until at the end, they finally catch him on the second kidnapping charge and throw him in jail. But guys, I know we did a terrible fucking job of wrapping that all together, and it was so confusing.
It's a conspiracy.
But I hope you watch it, because the way we described it is how you're gonna be watching the
It's
fucking.
insane.
It's so
Me and Lydia were sitting there, like,
crazy.
each time just looking at each other, like, did the parents just do that again?
Yeah, it's
They
so
did it
crazy.
again. And what? The aliens?
Yes.
And I mean, she talked about the daughter, the grown-up version of her. Obviously, the good thing is she's okay. She's not. The guy didn't kill her. But I mean, he sexually assaulted, raped her
For a
like
long time.
200 times. She said.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did the most fucked up things in order to get close to her.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. But
Yeah.
what you were talking about with Terrence, he thinks
He believes,
the conspiracy is that the parents, they can't be that dumb. But almost
He said they were selling her off to him.
you know what Terrence needs to do? I said parents. Terrence needs to listen to our episode on kids, I believe it was about.
Yes.
Or maybe it wasn't on that. I forget. One of the episodes where we discussed how people back in the day just believe things because that's their source of information. They need if you look honest, you are honest.
Yeah.
That's at least how you went about it. So
Yeah, and in order, so I don't think either of us is going to argue that there are no conspiracies. It's not true, but for conspiracies to happen on such a gigantic scale, such as like 9/11 or things like that, there has to be so much cooperation between so many people, and you're giving way more intellectual credit to people than they deserve. Not to say people are not smart, but to expect. Have you ever remember?
I think you're torpedoing your own argument right now.
What's that?
By saying that you're giving people too much intellectual credit. You're giving people too much intellectual credit that a small group of elites that are well organized couldn't pull one over on everyone else who's
I agree with
idiotic.
that. No, I agree that a very tight knit group of people can accomplish something like that. But here's where the caveat I add. I'm not saying it's an impossibility, by no means. But have you ever tried to play that game where you try to tell a secret to the other person? It is impossible.
That's how the Bible came to be.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it is impossible.
The Bible is a collection of stories that people never wrote down, and they just told each other for years and years and years, and then eventually they wrote down some version of them way later, where they're like, "Oh, Jesus walked on water." It's like, you mean in water? It's like, no, I'm pretty sure I heard on water.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, all right, cool, we'll write that down.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing. Is like, though I completely agree that if you get the right group of people at the right time with the right sort of mentality, that you can get them to organize and create something and not tell anybody. Absolutely. But simultaneously, that is very difficult and very rare.
Nowadays, it would be harder.
Yeah,
way harder.
Certainly.
I think back in the day, you talk about events that led to a couple different wars.
Sure.
You talk about even 9/11. I mean, 2001 was a long time ago. We didn't have as much technology as we do now, and it's hard to say how easy or hard it would be back then, just because there was no information. You know, people are just going on what you tell them, so it's hard. But what we wanted to get into was why they exist. Why do you think they exist, and why, if you think, why are they important?
So Tangentially, I'll draw the analogy to religion.
Okay.
I think conspiracies serve a similar purpose to what religion does, is that it closes a gap for some people.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
some things are so unexplainable
Yep.
or so out of their control that they're like, okay, I may not have been able to control that, but somebody control it. And as long as somebody controls it in a circular logic type of way, that means I could have controlled it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people believe in them.
And I come at it from what we talked about on an earlier episode, that kind of the same way that people don't want to think too hard. That if you think too hard, it's hard. You don't want that extra work in your life. So I mean, you and I think like that extra work. We like expanding our minds and trying to challenge our own ideas. And I mean, that's why we're doing this. But
Of course.
with conspiracy theories, people want a general overall explanation for an unexplained event, really. And there's just things that happen that are random in this life, and then there's things that aren't.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell the difference,
Which
because
is what?
one, a lot of these things happened a long time ago, and we didn't have the information, didn't have the video, didn't have the pictures, didn't have the proof of whatever happened. But they're important because these people, I don't know, I think we were talking about it earlier, it gets them by in their mental health, in the mental health aspect. So
Agreed.
They're important because some people can't grasp these other overarching, more complicated ideas.
Right.
So we're going to put a nice little bow on it, and then my mind does not freak out when I think about it.
Exactly.
That's at least how I view
Yeah,
it.
no, I couldn't agree more. And so on the flip side, I think getting to the point of where we understand why people do believe in them is, I think, a little bit easier than why don't people believe in them. Why do you think people do not believe in conspiracy theories? What makes somebody go?
It's got to be the same thing.
But on the opposite side?
Yeah, it's this, that they want a simple explanation, and conspiracy theories can be simple in a way, but more so they're more of a blanket idea. It covers every aspect, or tries to, of that complicated situation.
There's no reason for nuance.
Exactly.
Okay.
But with the people that don't believe in them, what they want is a simple, oh, this one person, he fucked up, that's why it happened. That's why JFK got shot in the head, because this guy wasn't good enough at his security job, and then one guy fired one bullet, hit him in the head, good to go. But other people think, oh, there were two different shooters, one guy, who's the dude on the grassy knoll, like all these different theories, and they want to dig in. So it's weird, because in one aspect, conspiracy theories are getting into the weeds.
Yes.
But in another aspect, they're just an overall blanket statement, like, okay, chemtrails.
Yeah.
They're trying to poison us. And it's like, no, there's a lot of complicated science going into those little clouds that come out of jets when they fly by.
And I think you hit it on the head when you said it's when people who don't believe in it, it makes the situation very localized, where I can just step this way, and then now I am removed from it. That I don't have to worry about what the government is doing, I don't have to worry if they're up to something, because I automatically close myself up to that. The government is all good, all knowing, nothing. They cannot do anything
I
fucked
hate that
up.
view.
And I'm just like, dude, that I don't know
Is
whether
that more
I don't
on
know
the
which
right,
one's worse.
Is that more on the right side of things? Like, not the correct, but right versus left. Like
in terms of conservative,
Republican.
it's like I would assume so, that more Republicans believe that
the government is our
they want it
father.
small, but what they do is all good, all right, and they're patriots, and
gotcha.
I'm not chalking up all conservatives.
In my experience, it tends to lean that way.
Yeah, and so I don't know which one is worse. And just like life requires nuance. There's nothing that's black and white. You have to be somewhere in the middle, which is where I am, which is where, did the government administer syphilis to a bunch of Tuskegee airmen, and it was fucked up, and it was technically a conspiracy? Yes. Yes, they did. But did the government organize to fly 2 planes in a building to kill thousands of people to fight a war to get oil? Nah. I just that I do it based on facts.
But
I don't know what else to say.
that's another aspect of why conspiracy theories exist. You know, not only do they exist for people's belief reasons, but they exist for the reasons. So some of them are true.
Yes.
Some of conspiracy theories are true, and the reason they exist is because these powerful entities, the elite, the government, whoever, they needed to get something done.
Yes.
That's why these conspiracy
Yep.
theories exist,
Mm-hmm.
because something wasn't getting done in the legal, in your face, the public would agree with this type of way.
Yeah.
So we need to do the back channel. They're not going to know it was us.
Yeah.
You know, fuck them over type of way.
Right. And it's
So-
weird. I would make the analogy to a relationship. It's kind of like once you cheat or lie once, that even if you remain perfect the rest of the relationship, that person is still going to think that you're lying and cheating from time to time.
The boy who cried wolf.
Yes. So
Is that a Bible story?
I don't know.
Fuck, I hope not.
I don't think so. I didn't know. Did Peter do it? Fucking Peter. Goddamn wolves.
It seems like a Bible story because he got ate by a wolf at the end, and that's some shit that God would do. Some vindictive, vengeful shit.
That's
Yeah,
some Bible
that's
shit,
what
bro.
that is. It is.
Right. So and then it's like
I like that part of God. I think he's very funny.
that's my nigga.
He's very funny
that's-
in the Bible when we talked about the go up you bald head.
Yeah.
Then when the little kids were making fun of the bald man in the Bible, I forget what book it is, but you can look it up. There's a bald man. He's walking down the street. There's like 20 kids, and they make fun of him by saying, "Go up, you bald head." I don't know if that's.
And they're smitten.
I don't know if that's an insult back then. Everybody was like, "Oh, they called him bald head," and then he prayed to God,
Smites.
and he was able to summon 2 she bears, is what it says in the Bible, and they rip all the kids apart and kill them.
That is pretty fucking awesome.
God's got a sense of humor. God's got a sense of humor.
God damn, dude, that's
Up
pretty
there
savage, man.
laughing his ass
Yeah.
off, farting in bathtubs. Oh, fucking
That one got me.
Tropic Thunder.
That's my shit, dude. But no, I mean, so just finishing that point is that so even if the government does it for good or bad intentions, once it commits that one lie, that one conspiracy, if you want to call it, once they commit one and it is found out, then pretty much everything they do from that point forth will be held to that type of scrutiny, and it's scrutiny, and it's not to it's. I mean, I guess you can say it's not their fault, and it is their fault.
But there
at the
will
same
be a
time,
scapegoat.
You know?
Like if it's found out under a certain administration, there's going to be one person that takes the blame, and then the rest of the people will carry on like nothing happened. They'll do everything they just did again, whether it's a government, whether it's just rich people, whether it's on a small scale conspiracy theory that I don't know about somehow, where I don't know, some gas station's hiking up gas prices or some shit. But
yeah, no, I mean, regardless of who takes them away, I'm talking about like the overarching why conspiracy theories hold the water that they do now is because of how many we know to be true.
Yes, yeah, that's
why.
right. Yeah.
If say from very early on these things were not true and were disproven, it's like you have no facts, then I think that conspiracy theorists would be in a corner somewhere. There'd be a very small group, right? But because of those few that have been found out, it makes the narrative a lot easier to digest. And then you also have to give some credit to the internet, where, you know, if you were a guy that fucked sheep before the internet, do you know how hard it would be to find another guy who fucked sheep? You'd have to do a fuck your dude, and chances are you're never gonna find one because you ain't gonna walk around asking, "Hey, yo, them sheep? How you feel about wool, guy?" You know what I'm saying? Right? It would be very difficult. But now with the internet, a guy who fucks sheep can go www.ifucksheep.com, and all of a sudden it's 50,000 motherfuckers who would have never otherwise met and fuck sheep together. Now they have this community which has a louder voice than it otherwise should or would, right? And I think that's what happens with conspiracy theories as well, that I do not think as many people believe in them, but they get a louder voice, and because some of that shit looks so valid, people who otherwise would not pay it any mind, start to. You go down a rabbit hole and then fucking you're lost, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's especially nowadays with all the ways that people can communicate with each other and get their ideas out there.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the spread of more of them.
Yeah.
I think what we should do is dive into some specific conspiracy theories and I don't know, just discuss them and say where we stand on them
Okay.
if we think they hold any water, as you're saying.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to you where we go. I have a whole list. I picked out a few, but the CIA and AIDS
Yes, let's get
was
into that.
a big one that I thought was kind of stuck out
Yes.
when I was first reading through
Yes.
this. So,
This is one many in the black community have heard
oh, I'm assuming, yeah.
many times.
So AIDS was first identified in 81, I guess this says.
Mhm.
I mean, that's it's been around for a little over what 30, 40 years now, and the CIA created it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, okay. So first, we would have to look into the statistics because the conspiracy is, from what I've heard, is that the government invented AIDS, HIV in order to kill off the gay and the black community. So then, number one, what we would have to do is, whether it's in the U.S. or worldwide, are more gay and black people infected by the HIV virus than white people? I mean, it's pretty rampant in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and I really do not see that many white people or hear of like a large. I don't hear of like in Arkansas, AIDS wipes out a whole community, but in DC, I mean, it's pretty. The AIDS rate in DC is pretty high, so I can get where people can draw those two conclusions, but then you can refute that by saying, okay, what if it's sex education that has something to do with that difference between ethnicities and the rate of HIV within communities? I would imagine those who practice safer sex will have less instances of HIV within the community than those who do not practice safer sex, right? So to chalk it up is like, oh, the government. Well, the government really wouldn't have to do nothing. All you got to do is you have unprotected sex, you have protected
Well,
sex.
that's not.
One will get.
I don't think that's necessarily the conspiracy theory. It's more so. Well, it is. It is that.
Yeah.
There is definitely that, but it's more so that the CIA created it, and it was
Okay,
something
I'm
that
sorry.
they
I didn't-
released into the public.
Okay.
So it wasn't. It was basically a lab created
Mm-hmm.
virus, and not a naturally occurring one that just somehow jumped from humans or monkeys to humans.
Yeah, it's trash. Because I mean, look at fucking herpes. Did the government create? You don't hear anybody clamoring around whether the government created gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes. Nobody argues that shit. When people fuck a lot of different people, when you mix that amount of bodily fluids, you're gonna create some weird shit that can kill you. And I don't think it's that much of a stretch to imagine that. Look, you mix the right amount of body fluids in the right way, you can create some shit that once it catches fire will kill a lot of people.
Well, just going along with what you said, this does say that one of the most outlandish theories is that it was created to wipe out homosexuals and African Americans by Richard Nixon.
Yep.
But did you know it also boasts a number of high-profile supporters, including former South African President?
Go for it.
Yeah, what you got there? Thabo Mbeki?
Becky. Ooh. Mr. Whitlow with his
Hey,
African coming
I
into
have
play.
been in Northern Virginia for 7 years now and speaking with customers
yeah.
of all backgrounds.
Yeah, true.
And I butcher names all the time, so sometimes you're gonna
gonna-
a blind squirrel's gonna find a nut every now and then.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But I noticed at the bottom that it said there was a former Nobel Peace Prize ecologist that backed that theory as well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched to hear prominent names catch the conspiracy theory bug because they're human beings and under the right amount of pressure and influence, I feel like they'll adopt these theories, especially if there's some monetary gain behind it. But for you to, it just gets a little iffy to me when people say one thing is a conspiracy theory, but then you get something again in the same family, and here's just an easy one, say herpes. Now, does it kill as many people? No, but it's a disease that sucks. You can't cure it. But you don't hear people talk running around say hepatitis C is the government. I just
Yeah.
wonder why I and I think the conspiracy started because of the population it affected the most.
Yeah.
So I think
Maybe
people
so.
from extrapolated from that the conspiracy. I don't think it worked the other way around, right? That the conspiracy started. Oh, you know what I mean? I think once it started affecting gay and black people more, then they were like, "Oh, conspiracy."
Well, this even says there's evidence that the CIA connection, I guess, to distributing AIDS was in fact created by the KGB as part of the Cold War disinformation campaign to discredit the U.S.
They've been at this shit for a minute,
dude,
huh?
Russia,
Fuck.
Putin just threatened us yesterday.
Dude,
did you see that?
No.
Yeah, he said if you put missiles in some country over here, we're gonna fire at you. Literally said that, and it's what? What?
And Putin don't bullshit.
We just started this. We're only on episode 10, Putin.
God damn.
Come on, man.
Dude, I want to live to.
So the aliens
to
only
get
gonna
famous.
hear 10 episodes? Damn.
Hey, Putin, we out here, man.
Oh my god. I just watched the first episode of Jesus and Mero's new show on Showtime. It
How
just
is
started
it?
last night. It's just a better version of the Vice
Is it
show.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they just have a better budget. The first guest was Alexandria Cortez. I don't know what her name is. Yeah. But yeah, but they showed a video of Putin doing jujitsu. No, judo.
Uh-huh.
And he's just like jumping around, warming up, and he looks like a fucking child, and it's hilarious. It's so fucking funny. And their comments on it are great. But
That motherfucker will kill you, though.
Yeah, right.
Without a question.
what was another one I wanted to go into was chemtrails.
Oh,
I
yes.
don't know a ton about this. I don't know what's your
So,
expertise here.
I
do, but I don't.
I know what chemtrails are about weather patterns and poisoning the air and shit like that, right? So when I first, up until 2 years ago, I had no fucking idea what this was.
Oh, really?
Then you remember Kelly from CDW? Cuckoo
Oh yeah.
For Cocoa
Yeah,
Puffs?
I was thinking of a female for some reason.
yeah, dude. He corners me one day.
Oh god, and he
and
didn't.
breaks down the
Oh,
chemtrails.
I wish I could have heard that. I love talking to Kelly because he's so intense about
I
everything.
call him an ear terrorist. He's an ear terrorist.
So where
He hijacks your
and he
ear
never lets go.
and he don't let you go.
Martyrdom.
And this motherfucker's 6'6". He just be like, "Yo, you like, let me tell you what I got to hear, man." Right? So, and the first time I heard about this entire conspiracy theory was he cornered me one day outside, and he was just like, "Bro, have you heard of the chemtrails?" And just goes on a tangent, bro.
So
this is
if
a new
you
one
don't
for
know
me.
what chemtrails are, I'm just reading some articles I found on a UK website just about some top conspiracy theories of today that was written recently. But chemtrail conspiracy theories vary in their claims, says BBC, but some of the most popular include the belief that the white lines in the sky trailing planes are actually some kind of chemical sprayed by the government to control the weather.
Mm-hmm.
That scientists carrying out research about how to counteract climate change through a process called geoengineering are secretly poisoning us, or even that secret powerful groups are spraying us with chemicals to make us pliant and easy to control. I will say that last point is not crazy.
Okay. Here
I'm not saying that
we go.
chemtrails are real, but I'm
right.
saying that there are definitely historical times and events where governments controlled people by making them pliant and easy to control.
South Africa is a good example.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah,
Yep.
that I didn't even know about that till I saw it. Was it the Viceland thing you saw too?
Yep.
What was that show called?
Now, actually, I read that one. I read we talking about just regular Vice?
No, that was the Viceland show with the dude with the glasses that was just doing
Pharmacopoeia?
Yes, that's what it was.
Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Yeah, so what I
some
found out
animal.
was in South Africa, and I believe the 80s. It could have been the 90s though as well. Maybe it was the 70s. It was in that, we'll say in that 30-year period.
When a lot of people were dying.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit going on, and there's some revolutions and revolts uprising, and the government doesn't want that to happen. So they know that the locals will not uprise if they're high, because high people normally, depending on the drug,
Nonviolent.
they're nonviolent. They're not going to really want to combat people, protest things. So what they did was they threw out grenades that were like more so gas grenades, but what they would do would just pop open and they spilled out what are those?
Quaaludes.
Quaaludes. Now, if you've ever seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, you probably know what a Quaalude is.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think they've been around for quite a while, but they're a very I think it's a drug to help you sleep.
Yep.
But if you are able to resist the sleep for 5-10 minutes, you're
You
able to
get
get
so high.
very, very high. And that's what they did. They basically threw grenades into crowds, and people thought they were going to, explode with tear gas or whatever. And they ended up being drugs. And now there's a whole generation, if not the next 1 or 2 generations, that are all addicted to Quaaludes and still doing. There was some crazy shit where they half a beer bottle, they put tobacco, weed, and crushed up Quaaludes in the beer bottle head. And then they put the head part up to their mouth where you would drink out of a beer bottle and hold it up in the air and almost like a bowl that you would smoke for weed. And then they light that whole thing. And then they basically just like fucking sit back and convulse. Because the weed and the tobacco, that's just a blunt. That's what, you normally do.
Yeah.
But if you go smoke a
Quaalude
pill,
on top of that, bro?
smoke a pill up in there.
Fuck me, that's intense, dude.
It's like angel dust, but like way more intense, maybe. I don't know. God dust. Putting that God dust on top of the weed.
So we're gonna little crack on them and get out of here.
Hey, ever since Wolf of Wall Street, I wanted to try Quaaludes.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I've wanted to too.
But yeah, anyway, so back to chemtrails.
Cosby.
Oh God, yeah.
Until he started doing what he was doing.
Yeah, that was not good.
And also in the South Africa thing, they were also putting it in the water supply as well. So it wasn't just the grenades. They were going all the way with it.
Oh wow, I did not know about the water supply. But hey, if you can just drink water and get like that, that's way more effective.
Yeah. And you see, and again, here is what gives the other conspiracies validation. Because if something like that can happen on that level, and it is proven, what is to say that it can't happen on another level here? So it is very, very difficult to distinguish between what is fact and what's fiction. So you have to do your due diligence.
Of course.
You can't have the information regurgitated to you. And it's kind of like what people do when they watch Fox News or CNN or anything like that. What you're doing is you're getting somebody else's opinion, and you're using that not only as your own opinion, but also fact as well. You have to go to the source and do the research for yourself. These individuals who are giving you their opinions have spent hours compiling research together to formulate a good opinion, which is why it sounds so good to you, which is why it sounds so real to you, because they read a book. You have to go out and do the same thing.
Yeah, you got to do your own research.
Yes,
for sure.
You have to get it from every single source, from the left, the right, the middle, the up, the down, compile it all together, read it all, and then for yourself, you say, what is my conclusion after reading the hard facts? Then you can say conspiracy or not. But until you do that, you have no fucking idea.
And by the way, they've debunked chemtrails many, many times. I believe it's just condensation.
Yeah, of course it is.
From the jets
engines.
But yeah, so apparently 98.7, 76 out of 77 scientists saying that they encountered no evidence of a secret large-scale atmospheric program. But there's that one guy.
That's that one fucking guy. You're going to have one of those guys in everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to have one. I mean, you can't have, only 9 out of 10 dentists agree that
on orbit,
that toothpaste, clean your teeth or whatever. So
yeah, dude.
It's never 10 out of 10 on those commercials.
Dude, I just, it bugs me how, and again, I fall victim to this too, because look, you can't get all the information about everything.
No.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
So to some extent, you have to choose a few reliable resources and rely on them. But when you are then going to formulate your own opinion and start speaking as if you know what facts are, you have to have done your research.
Yeah.
Simple. So whatever point you wish to bring forth, whatever you want to stand behind is used as a principle that you stand on, which is not many. Few. We have three or four. The average person has just a few principles that they stand by. Then those things, research, constantly update them, and change as the information changes. But those things that you believe in, make sure you got those. And if you really haven't done your research on like whatever, then just say you don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with saying I don't know about fucking anything.
Chemtrails.
I don't know. I haven't read about chemtrails.
Yeah.
But if 76 out of 77 scientists are saying that it's not true, that is a resource that I'm going to rely on.
Exactly.
You know
gotta,
what I mean?
You gotta pick and choose your sources and your battles. I guess really, there's no reason to put effort forth in trying to make something a conspiracy that is not a conspiracy, and that's what a lot of people are doing. They're putting their efforts into trying to match up facts with other facts that just don't go together. You know, you're really, that's what you're getting.
And I think it also has something to do with having a lack of control over your life. You know, sometimes I think what happens with people is you get to a point where you may be trying certain things and moving in certain ways and nothing is going right. You're getting hit with resistance corner after corner. And when you feel that helpless sometimes, you want to say, okay, there has to be some greater thing that's controlling me or doing whatever. But I think that's too easy of a narrative. You got to dig deeper than that. You know, sometimes things are just not gonna fucking go your way, but that does not mean that there's this fucking grand scheme to make sure things don't go your way or make sure that things don't go other people's ways. It's fucking, dude, nothing's 100%. And by the way, if this sounds like a fucking rant, it's because it kind of is. Because my cohort has stepped off to, I believe, take a piss and make sure his dog stopped whining. But what other conspiracy theories are out there that I think are fucking fascinating? Yeah, we're gonna get into the moon landing because I think that shit's crazy.
I'm back for a second.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Had to let the dog out.
Hey.
He's still out there, so we'll have to run back out there in a second.
For some reason I thought I heard Lydia come back.
No,
I'm
it's
bugging.
dog's just out there whining. All the listeners are gonna think I am up. There he is.
There he is.
they're gonna mean to my
What's
dog.
up, buddy? What's up, buddy?
Come on, man.
Hey, buddy. All right, dog duty, man. I want a dog so fucking bad, man. I got a friend that's breeding pits, and I really want to get one. But man, when you're 29, working fucking 12 hours a day, at what point do you get to fucking relax and have a dog, man? That shit's tough. But hopefully one day I get to have that opportunity. That'd be dope. What happened?
To have my dog on?
No. I was talking about how much I want a dog. Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't know. I was just cracking the fuck up because all stuff jumping on me. Yeah. So, one of the weirdest conspiracies I found that I haven't really heard much about.
Okay.
Is the reptilian elite.
Bruh, I ain't never heard shit about this, bruh.
I know when Joe Rogan had Alex Jones on, he talked about it, and I know Alex Jones talks about it.
How did I miss that?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Have you not seen or heard the Alex Jones podcast?
Of course I have. I'm just saying, like, how did I miss?
So he references it quite a bit, and it's about the reptilian elite who are. Okay, well, I'll just read it.
Yes.
The reptoid hypothesis is a conspiracy theory which advances the argument that reptilian humanoids live among us with the intention of enslaving the human race. It's been championed by former BBC sports presenter David Icke, who believes the likes of Bob Hope, members of the royal family, and former presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton are part of this race, the Anunnaki, and that came to Earth for the monatomic gold. Critics accused this guy of anti-Semitism, alleging that his talk of reptiles was code for Jews.
That's probably it.
It might be. But holy shit, where is this coming from? Where the fuck is this reptilian shit coming from?
Look. If you're gonna try to hide your your racism, what better than to fucking make up some race of Goddamn reptilian elite. What in the shit, man? The shit people think of. Look, it's one or two things. And again, me ranting because Andrew has stepped away. It's gotta be one or two things. Either motherfuckers get so goddamn high that there just becomes a point of no return that even when you're not high, you just can't help but think of dumb shit. That like what the fuck? The reptilian elite, or it is truly, motherfuckers really want to like sneak some subtle fucked up shit that they're trying to accomplish and use subtle context, subtle clues to try to get motherfuckers to buy into what they're doing. So if it is like a anti-Semitic thing that they're trying to do, so they start saying things like the reptiles have whatever, name any stereotypical Jewish trait or cultural thing, and they will start attributing those things to people slowly and subtly, and then you'll start thinking like you see a Jewish person and the things that they do, and then that fucking those dots will get linked together in your mind. So I can see how people can use that for some really fucked up shit to just slide into people's subconscious or whatever. So, yeah.
Reptilian elite.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I got you, dude. It's fucking crazy with the shit that, and let me not, crazy is dismissive. Let me not call it crazy, because,
it is kind of crazy, but I get what you're saying. You don't want to say people are crazy because hey, people got mental things that go on all the time. You might think reptiles are ruling the world.
Come on, like
Hopefully you don't. Reptiles are creepy, just in their natural form. They're creepy as fuck.
Yeah, and I get that people sometimes feel helpless, man. And I know this is typically this is not supposed to be a mental health podcast, but conspiracy theories to me are a form of typically people who I know who believe in conspiracy theories are struggling mentally. I've never ran into a person who's got their life together, who's just, grinding, doing the right things and being like, oh, so those Sandy Hook kids are all actors. I just don't see it.
Hot take. They don't have their life together, so they rely on these types of things to say they're an expert and that they are together on those things.
Yeah. Or to justify that, hey, the reason my life is fucked up, the reptilian elite. hey, the reason
exactly.
I'm fucked up,
blame.
the Area 51. It makes there's an easy escape route, because if you have to take full responsibility for yourself and your own life and for where you are in this moment, that shit is a lot scarier than saying the fucking the reptilian elite exist.
Yes.
Let's just explore that for a moment. Can you believe that some people are more willing to believe in aliens and some crazy shit like that more so than they are responsible for their own lives? Think about mentally where you have to be, how far removed you gotta be.
Are you saying you don't believe in aliens?
I mean, okay, fuck you. You know the way I mean it, dude. You know the way I mean it. Do I believe that, given the size of our galaxy, that there's a chance that other species may exist beyond us?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But has a nigga down the street seen an alien fly by one day? Nah, cuz.
Oh man, you got to read the book then.
What book?
You heard that? You heard that episode?
The Unknown.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, come on.
Or no? Is it on there?
Yeah.
You got to read that.
Look, I've watched the documentary. I get it. I'm just saying, bro. Like,
Area 51.
Nah. Okay, let's get into that.
No. I mean, I didn't plan on going too far into it because I'm assuming most people know what Area 51 is.
Yeah.
The area where they think multiple UFOs, I guess, have crash landed.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that book. It's called Unacknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
You're right, Unacknowledged.
It is wild. Mm-hmm. Just going through the people's interviews and them specifically talking about events that happened, and you're like, well, why the fuck would this government official lie?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into the conspiracy theories.
But why would anybody lie?
But what I'm thinking, the question in my mind is, why would these retired dead people lie? They're not dead when they gave the interviews, obviously, but after they were out, after they no longer were needed to keep secrets.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't under oath or under any type of legal agreement to keep this stuff under wraps. And then they let it out. They didn't gain anything from it. It wasn't a monetary thing. It was just in terms of a compilation from this doctor.
Why do babies throw tantrums?
I don't know.
To get attention.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They didn't get any attention. This book, it took years. They're dead. That's what I'm saying.
But attention is relative.
Well, and a lot of them are anonymous. And it's like, well,
I
get, well, shit. If there's a cover up, I get why you would want to be anonymous.
Yeah.
There's no fucking reason to put your goddamn name out there.
Yeah.
If you're telling some shit about aliens that no one knows and the government knows about, or if there's a reptilian-elite group out of hitmen out there, you don't know.
And again, I always have to give the devil his due. Maybe, man. Again, I'm not that one. I'm not the guy to completely write it off because, again, proof that we've done it. But something to that extent. And it's like, why would the aliens reveal themselves to strictly government officials and not to every fucking body?
Well, we're talking about, it's a cover up, just a conspiracy theory, same type of thing.
So,
also, how do you explain all the people that have seen them in the night skies?
Have you smoked a really good blunt?
Well,
you'll see all types of shit.
What you're saying is the aliens revealing themselves to people. I mean, that could be revealing themselves to people.
Okay, why don't they reveal themselves to Mark Zuckerberg?
What if they don't communicate in the same way we do? What if they don't even exist in the same way we do?
That's
in
what
the
I'm
same
saying.
Consciousness type thing. What if they're not able to communicate in that way? I mean, there's so many questions.
It's like, why aren't the aliens...
There's unlimited questions around it.
And again, people will say it's the part of the secret society, but why wouldn't the aliens reveal themselves to Mark Zuckerberg, to fucking Donald Trump, to fucking Jay-Z and Beyonce? And then people are like, oh, because they're all part of the... It's like, dude, why wouldn't they reveal themselves to people who could be like, nah, why wouldn't they reveal themselves to me? Right? To a person who does not believe in none of that shit. Why wouldn't they be like, all right, let's shut this motherfucker up right here? Why wouldn't they just make it a blanket? Like, oh, we're here.
The same reason why God does not answer individual prayers. Seriously, might be. Because there's too many people like you that maybe would want to meet him. But there are also people that may have already. It's a conspiracy.
It's too existential. Okay, let's go.
There's a couple that everyone knows about really are, I would hope, 9/11.
Of course.
I mean,
do we even need to get into that?
That our government perpetrated that or that was an inside job of some kind.
No. Why do you think people believe in that one?
Did you ever see Zeitgeist?
I think so.
Oof. If not,
I think so.
Check that out.
Okay.
Zeitgeist. It goes into how all religions are derived from the same source.
Oh yeah.
It goes into how banks and the Federal Reserve and things operate. The national debt always goes up. Don't let that number bother you about anything, because it only ever goes up. It doesn't go down.
Yeah.
Because we borrow money from, or the government borrows money from our own banks in order to fund our economy.
Oh yeah.
And then they pay it back with interest. So our money constantly has interest from all the banks that it comes from. It's never going down.
Yeah.
The national debt constantly goes up.
That makes sense.
But people don't understand that. It's such a controversy. It's like, oh, this man added this much to the debt. It's like, who gives a fuck? We never fucking pay it down anyway.
It's just like when you tell the people that the Federal Reserve is not a government entity.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
yeah.
What? Conspiracy? No, it's always been like that.
And the third part of that Zeitgeist documentary type thing was 9/11.
Yeah.
And how that was perpetrated. Building 3 was Building 7. Building 7.
Yeah.
It just fell. Just fell. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, 9/11. The moon landing, that's another one, which I know you personally have some thoughts on that you've gone back and forth on maybe.
And now, look, okay, so in the grand scheme of things, I truly do believe it happens. I like fucking
China's
around.
there right now.
Yeah, I like fucking around
and
and saying like it did and didn't, but I truly do believe it went there. And do I believe that the government... Look, the government has done so much dumb shit. Dude, how do they get found out in the first place? All right, let me not even go down that road. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I believe we went. The government took certain liberties to show how we went, and may overzealous producers and PR individuals may have faked a moon landing because they didn't have the actual footage right there in front of them. So they're like, let's get it out. There's all type. I think shit like that is more likely to happen than the government just faking the entire moon landing.
Yeah,
What's the
that would be
what's the
hard. That would be very difficult to
what's the
do,
purpose?
considering I think a lot of people saw that rocket launch
Yeah, like
from the actual service in Florida.
yeah, like what's the purpose? So
And then the JFK assassination, which we touched on earlier, that's
yeah.
another huge one. I'm pretty sure the man just got shot in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a lot of people that think the government had something to do with it, that he was too left, really,
Yeah,
too
yeah. He was
progressive,
pretty left.
and that he was not good for the country, and things went awry. But that's just these are just examples of things people believe in for conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Now, one that I was completely taken aback by is the time cube.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
to
let's get
explain
into that.
to explain the time cube, I'll go with the summary that I read.
Okay.
Oh, real quick before the time cube,
Uh-huh.
did you know that Finland doesn't exist?
Is that a conspiracy
It
or
is. It's a conspiracy theory.
No, I've never. Why? Why do
They're
people
saying
say
that it's actually part of the Baltic Sea, and people who claim to live there are really from eastern Sweden, western Russia, or northern Estonia. And if you see how it's set up,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
yep.
So
It was
all
a
around
theory
the world.
born on Reddit in 2016.
Oh my
What
God.
began as a joke has quickly gained traction online, spawning numerous subreddits and websites explaining why Russia and Japan made up the fictional country in
Yeah.
1918.
Let me tell you why I believe people are fucking stupid. Okay, you know 4chan started a movement of called Free Bleed, where they said let's see if we can convince women to not wear tampons.
I only know about it from Sacha Baron Cohen's show.
Bruh. And that started on 4chan as you see people where it started. Like,
Yeah.
I bet we can convince people
Well,
to do
it's just
this.
like any urban legend
Yeah.
type thing. There's these. Have you ever heard of creepy pasta on Reddit? It's a bunch of different stories that are said to be true but are not. But they're told in a way, basically, people on Reddit just typing out their whole story, like, "Holy shit, this just happened to me." Dude, I've read some of these stories, and you will shit your pants just reading these.
Yeah.
They're scarier than some movies. And I tell you that because, do you know Slender Man?
Yeah. Oh, fuck all of that.
That's the most famous creepypasta story. That came from that. That came from a Reddit thread. Slenderman, where those two girls ended up stabbing their friend almost to death because Slenderman told them to do it.
Fuck.
There's a whole Slenderman game where that man catches you, and it's creepy.
Dog, I'm good.
There's Sci-Fi now. The Sci-Fi channel now has a show called fuck, what is it called? It's some wild name, but it's all based on those creepypasta stories, and the show is quite wild.
I'm not watching it.
Yes. There
There's
was
no
one.
way.
There was one I remember reading where this guy was. He kept hearing sounds, and he couldn't figure out what was happening. And then so he was like, all right, whatever. So he puts his headphones on and he starts writing a paper or studying for like hours and hours and hours. And he just felt like eyes on him, and he just couldn't figure out what it was. So he's just in his room. He's doing this for, I think it was like 2 or 3, 4 hours. He's home by himself. He walks out to like get some water or something from the kitchen, comes back, and he notices on the outside of his door frame leading into his room are different marks etched into the outside of the door frame that had never were there. So someone was like counting something while watching him study or write it. Yeah, like from inside of his house. And you read this and you're like, this happened to this guy.
Yeah.
But that's how some of these conspiracy theories literally start out of stuff like that, out of just urban legend type stories, and then here we are.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so I was reading somewhere that scientists say that a big part of our society and our culture as a human race evolving the way that it did is because of storytelling. That our ability to pass stories on from a generation to a generation was absolutely crucial in passing on cultural elements in order for us to learn about certain things, make sure certain traditions stayed that were useful to our
Oh yeah.
economy. So
Yeah.
that is why stories have that. Like, I mean, dude, you just telling me those stories, all the images were in my mind in perfect clarity.
Hmm.
Perfect clarity, right? And I think that for anybody listening would have that same effect. It's because stories are supposed to have that effect on us because of how much they helped us. But they could also manipulate us to scare the shit out of us, make us happy when we shouldn't be, make us sad when we shouldn't be, get money from us. So stories, man. I mean, dude, like as a young kid, dude, stories, I could listen to my dad tell stories the whole day.
Well, and that goes back to the whole that you believe what you're told.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how we're raised, or as humans, we want to interact with one another is to believe that everyone is telling the truth. You're being honest. You're being upfront about your story,
Yeah.
about your tale.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the times, that's not the case, and you can't prove it otherwise.
Right.
You can't prove it
Right.
false or true.
Right.
So therefore, by default, it's true to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's how the religion works a lot of the
Yeah.
ways. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you don't have any proof against God.
Yeah.
Like, I can't prove God's not real. What? You can't prove he is.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
How's that work?
Right, which is and right before we get back into the conspiracy, which is why, I mean, when I hear these arguments, it gives me greater validation on the belief that we were meant to be in small, tight-knit groups, because the penalty of somebody within your, I mean, look at it now, your family, your relationship, your friends, the penalty of lying is so great
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a small, tight-knit community that because we're humans and we operate off of incentives, the incentive to lie is so, it's just deadly to do that because it can get you completely ostracized. All you die, you starve, whatever. But now with a community so big and people who don't live within our community who can gain off of telling us bullshit, do so, and they have, and it's like, dude, this is we're biologically and mentally we're just not evolved yet to operate in these communities that are so fucking large, man.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, it's hard because there's too many factors for our brains to think about at one given time.
Yeah.
So it's people go to these overarching explanations and therefore don't have to think about them too deeply.
Yeah, dude, you can't. What's the number? You can't care about more than like 50 people. Like truly care. Like number 51, they can die, and you're just like, oh shit, like that sucks. But
Yeah.
it's crazy.
All right. Well, for our final conspiracy theory,
Yes.
I'm going to take you to the
Time cube.
The time cube.
Oh, this is gonna be a brain fuck.
So just so you know, the time cube is a pseudo-scientific theory of time and space developed by Gene Ray, a former electrician. So he obviously has the qualifications. He insisted that academics around the world were purposefully concealing the fact that 4 simultaneous days occur during a single rotation of the Earth rather than just one. Ray even gives lectures at the Massachusetts and Georgia Institutes of Technology on the matter. Wait, MIT and GIT? Holy shit. On his self-designed website, A Stream of Consciousness with Intermittent Capitalized Words, he offered a $1,000 reward to anyone who could successfully disprove his theory. He died at the age of 87 in 2015, but his theory and website have remained the source of fascination for many. The Verge calls it arguably one of the most notorious single web pages online, an endless wall of text about the conspiracy to suppress an absurdist mathematical model of time.
Dude, I am still hung up on how this electrician
Gave a MIT speech.
what gave not a speech, gave fucking
Excuse
lectures,
me, a lecture.
bro.
Well, you want to see the website?
Lectures. What the fuck, man?
The Time Cube, 4 CE. Earth has 4 days simultaneously each rotation. You erroneously measure time from one corner. And then it has some crazy drawings about Earth body 4-corner time equals 4-leg mobility. Your ignorance of harmonic cube is demonic. And then, all right, so you know how long a
This
website
hurting my
is?
face.
The scroll bar on the side.
Holy
It's very tiny for all of you listening.
Shit.
If you want to go to this, it is timecube.2enp.com. And this is, this is the man right here. Yours truly.
Excuse me.
Yours truly. This is Gene Ray.
Jesus, dog.
Earth has 1 day, even if it stood still, and 4 days in one rotation. I don't know what the fuck he's trying to say.
Dude.
But here's the beginning of it. He says in 1884, Meridian Time personnel met in Washington to change Earth time. First words said was the only 1 day could be... Like, this is not even written... Okay, first words said was that only 1 day could be used on Earth to not change the 1 day marshmallow.
What the...
I'm done.
Dude.
I'm done.
I got like a headache looking at it.
Children will be blessed for kissing of educated adults who ignore 4 simultaneous days, same Earth rotation. But then...
As soon as you talk about children kissing adults, that's when I'm like, oh.
He was talking about kissing the education of adults, which I don't know. But this is what you got. This is the whole website.
Fuck, man.
It's just one, and it's all, what would you call it? Middle justified, basically, in text. So everything's right in the center of the page. Wow. Nothing on the sides. Blank white. And it just scrolls words about what the fuck he believed forever and ever. Until he died.
Fucking.
And then if you go to the bottom, it has apparently 274 million hits. And then it stopped counting. It said it stopped counting.
Yo,
so people have been here.
Jesus, motherfucking Christ, dude.
Yeah. So that's our talk on conspiracy theories, I guess. Unless you have anything you want to wrap up with there.
I mean,
the time cube.
This is going to be actually a pretty good segue into our next topic. It's like, I can almost guarantee you this was birthed by a really bad trip.
Maybe.
It's
maybe.
And I don't know nothing about this guy's background, but to tell me that no drugs were involved in this, I'd say fuck you, sir. This is, I just don't know.
I mean, yeah, he had to be taken to a place to buy something to believe in some of this. I mean, I don't know the science behind it. I'd have to read this entire website.
There's no way.
There is no human entity, just human cubics, as in 4 different people in a 4-corner stage, metamorphic rotation, never more than 1 corner at the same time. I don't know what the fuck that means. Anyways, to kind of segue into our next topic, I do have something I brought up a little earlier that you didn't know about.
Yep.
And that is that back in the 1980s, and our second topic is pot, weed, Mary Jane...
The devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. There you go. The true story. So basically, the U.S. tried to poison weed smokers with a toxic chemical in the 1980s. At least that's the conspiracy theory.
Or not?
But I believe it's true now, or it's proven, and it has something to do with. And I found this Explained, the Netflix show, right?
Yeah. That's
so
a really good show.
Weed one talks about how, I think it was in the 1980s, they tried to destroy all the crops in Mexico by dumping basically weed killer on it and all this shit. And then therefore making the weed that's shipped over to the U.S. basically
toxic.
Yeah, toxic. Mm-hmm. So that's another reson why weed started to be grown in the U.S. as well, is because of this. Because they were doing it across the border. So, marijuana fields were being sprayed with a chemical that can actually kill you back in those times. So, yeah, that's just leads us into our next topic, which is marijuana.
The Mary Janeth.
So I know we both listened to the Joe Rogan pot debate between the doctor and
We did.
What was the other guy? The guy that wrote the book about anti-weed stuff was...
I think he was just a writer.
Yeah, he was a writer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, researcher. He was, New York Times columnist or journalist. So, I mean, I trust journalists normally in terms of if they do their research, and New York Times pretty reputable. But, what'd you think of that debate?
I thought it was pretty interesting because... he wasn't the typical anti-weed guy, because I don't think he just blatantly came out and said, I'm anti-weed. He was more along the lines of where I am with it, where it's like, So I used to smoke a ton of weed, a fucking boatload. I stopped. I'm still for it. I think it has, based on research, has medical benefits. But where my concern is, and which is what he echoed, is that there has been something about this new wave of legalization of marijuana that has just made it look like God's plan. Like it is all good all the time under any circumstance. And like he was saying, which I'm saying is, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's dial it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can we have more time? Can we have more research? Can we know the facts a little bit better before we just go with this fucking sweeping wave of making this drug legal? Now, again, the I'll just add this caveat that it's ironic because in general, I do truly argue for legalization because Switzerland legalized heroin, Portugal legalized all of hard drugs, all drugs in their country, and homicides, overdoses, all of that has dropped
Oh yeah, fucking of
significantly.
course. And
Significantly.
what do I always say?
Yeah.
If it doesn't affect you, why do you care?
Yeah.
So if it's your body,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm for legalizing anything the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
Because it takes the stigmatism out of it.
Yeah.
And then people don't, I mean, it doesn't have that stigmata. So you're not thinking, oh, weed is bad, heroin's bad. I mean, these drugs can be bad in certain forms, but at the same time, they help people all the time. Heroin, probably not so much. But at the same time, it was used for medical benefits back in the day. I mean, it's used to numb people.
I mean, what is morphine?
Yeah, and I mean, shit. I mean, hey, some of the most creative people have been on heroin. Hey, do you, man?
Yeah.
I'm never gonna tell somebody what to do.
Yeah.
If you got a body, we got maybe 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
Put in whatever you want.
Yeah,
However you want to fuel it.
I couldn't agree more. But just like with alcohol,
It's almost like some people have a gas tank that takes all types of fucking fuel. You can put 87, diesel, 93, whatever. But some people are just, you got to put that regular shit in there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I never thought about it like that.
That's a pretty good analogy. And like I think but I would approach it the same way you do with alcohol, the same way these other countries do with the drugs that they legalize, to have a limit age-wise, to have a limit on the amount.
Of course.
There's all these stipulations that need to be put in front of it. And what's happening right now, from what I see, is the government has legalized marijuana, but there's all these individual entities popping up with really no regulation. You don't know. Even people thought, oh, now that this institution right here, this business is selling me some weed, that now I'm getting safer shit than I otherwise was getting. And that's not true.
It's not federally regulated.
Exactly.
So the FDA has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's a bad thing for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, you can get something that's too strong or not strong enough in the same, batch, and it's unfortunate because if it were to be legalized federally, then we wouldn't have to worry about, one, all the people in jail, but two, all the people that have to worry about the different dosages that they're taking. You could have regulation in terms of that, hopefully.
Yeah, like, because you go to one store on the corner, that one gummy bear gives you 15 milligrams of THC. Like, all right, cool. You walk across the street, same size gummy bear, 100 fucking milligrams, and that shit. Look, weed can sometimes cause psychosis, and if you take that much, and especially if you're not a fucking avid user and using it on a regular basis, that could truly really fuck you up.
Agreed.
And that's,
I've seen it happen multiple times.
You know what I mean? And those are the things that people, we as a society need to be aware of and have those more honest conversations when it comes to weed legalization. Yeah,
I agree. It's hard to have those conversations when there's such a stigmatism and what word am I trying to use? The perception and stereotypes that go along with people that have smoked for so long that are hard to get away from for us as a society. You associate them with the I guess the stoner is your typical person who doesn't get things done, who has no energy, who has no motivation, and doesn't do anything during their day. And that's really impacted the perception of one, getting it legalized, but also just those people in general. You know, you see that weed is one of the main things that employers test for, yet there's no possible way that one, most people aren't going to smoke and come to work, and two, if they're able to do that, it's not going to affect their work.
Right.
So it's really a moot point, and it's hard for me to see why it can't be federally legal, because there's so many benefits to the legalization on a federal level.
Yeah. No, I agree. And there, it's funny because, for a person like me, straight up, if I smoke, I become like incapacitated. I'm this type of smoker where I get smacked, I sit on the couch, I watch TV, I play video games, I eat. I'm not the smoker who gets up and does shit. But I know people who do that.
Yeah, that's me.
Matter of fact, yeah, two
one sitting right here.
Yeah, dude, and my buddy in college who sold and smoked a lot of weed with, bruh, he was way worse both academically and socially if he was not high.
Yeah.
But he would get high, and dude graduated with a damn near 4.0. So I can never be the one that, and you know what's funny? I remember one time, so my parents caught me smoking and they wanted me to stop. I was not going to stop because I loved getting high, right? So they took me to this lawyer to try to ingrain in me that, hey, if you keep smoking weed, you're going to end up in jail, blah, blah, blah.
God.
So this is what happened. The lawyer starts off like, man, if you keep smoking weed, yeah, you can end up jail. You could do these sentences, da-da-da. And then he looks at my parents. He's like, but, I know some people who, they smoked weed. I got a bunch of people who graduated law school.
Backfired on your parents.
Like, legitimately.
That's funny.
He's like, I got a bunch of buddies that graduated law school. They were high all the time and got 4.0s, and they were actually really productive. And then my parents are giving him that look, and he's like, but those are very few people. And I was like, dude.
I mean, for the longest time, I tried to hide it from everyone, and I still do. In terms of people I'm not close with, I guess I'm close with all our listeners then. But I try to hide it. Yeah, I try to hide it just because of the perception. I don't need those extra questions.
Yeah.
And luckily, the perception is going away.
Yeah,
it's becoming more. People are finding the benefits out with the discovery of CBD and isolating that and making that a legal chemical now that people can buy that helps with anxiety and inflammation and sleep. I mean, I use it for sleep every night, and it's amazing. And it has no psychoactive effects, and it's another one of those things that we talked about before that has to evolve, and for some fucking reason has taken so long.
It's weird.
Think about any social movement. And yes, the social movements are things that are constantly changing. It's a fluid. It's never going to stop.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's some type of progress. There's been no progress up until maybe the last 15, 20 years.
Very recently.
And then before that, it was just like, oh, well, I don't know if you know this, but one of the reasons it was made illegal in the first place was because officials, maybe a conspiracy theory, said that it made white women want to have sex with black men.
We need to carpet bomb this nation.
That's what it said. It didn't just say redhead women that wear Timbs. It said
every nigga out there knows.
That's a reference back to episode 1.
Look,
if you've been listening since day one.
I swear, man. You find me any white woman that wears Jordans or Timbs that don't fuck around with black dudes,
red hair,
I'll find you a goddamn liar. But nah, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that something as crazy as that is the reason why the government try to outlaw it. And also there was the the fact that they said it made people think too freely.
Yes. That, well, maybe they didn't even say that, but they knew that.
Yeah.
And that's Shit, you watch Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
The very beginning
Yep,
in the black
yep.
and white part where they got the guy smoking. He's
Yeah.
like, "This is the bee's knees." He's like, "Item 9 is the shit. We got to get the word out there." And they're like, "Kill him. Kill him now." He's like, "I've never been so creative in my life." And they're like, "Nope.
Yeah.
Kill him now.
Yeah.
Destroy all of Item 9 and make it illegal as fuck."
Yeah. No, I mean,
It's on the same schedule
yeah.
as heroin.
Yeah, it's
Can
pretty
you know what?
nuts.
I'm gonna look that up right
Pretty
now.
nuts.
I'm gonna look up the different schedules.
But here's also thing about heroin. It does have its hooks. And it is pretty addictive. There are the chemical hooks that will get into you, and they play a part in addiction. But I think we're slowly finding out that drugs like heroin and meth aren't as chemically addictive as we think. And though that the chemical part has an effect, it is looking more like the social aspect is more important to addiction than is the drug itself. So take for example, there's
So wait, you're saying the social aspect
is more critical to do with addiction than the actual drug itself.
with heroin?
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay. So I'll give
All
you an
right.
example. Let me break this down.
Okay.
So all right. So why is it that when people who go get hip replacements, people who go in the IR for gunshot wounds or any major surgery who are hooked up to morphine for days, maybe weeks at a time, do not become heroin addicts when they leave?
I can't agree with that because a lot of them
They
do.
don't.
Yeah, they do. They become
Some
painkiller.
so,
They become addicted to painkillers, which are also opiates.
some, but not the majority. Think about all the people being hooked up to morphine.
Maybe not the majority of people that get it, but yeah, but it's now taken over as the number one cause of death in America.
Yeah,
That's insane.
Yeah, sure, but the most people who have experience with morphine or any of those type of drugs in a hospital will not come out and become addicts. Majority, even though there has been a spike, that is not the case of the majority of individuals who leave a hospital. So then, if it's not the drug itself, what is it? So there's a famous study where a doctor puts a rat in a cage. He gives it a choice between water with nothing in it and water with cocaine in it. And they leave this mouse in the cage, and within a week, the mouse takes enough cocaine to kill it. It dies. So everybody's like,
Mouse was going hard.
going hard, bro. So everybody's like,
You want
look,
some more? You want some more? I got some more.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do more.
right. So everybody's like, look, here's the proof that it's the drug itself that is addictive. So a research scientist comes along a few decades later and says, wait a minute, how is that truly representative about a rat's life? So he's like, let me put the rat in a more realistic situation to what its life would be like and see what the facts are. So he puts this rat in what he calls rat park. So the rat has everything that a normal rat would have. It has lots of sex. It has interaction with other rats. It has things to do. They give it the water and the water with cocaine in it. No rat takes it to the point of overdose, and they seldomly use it to the point of, and they never use it to the point where they die.
So connection is giving them a reason
So-
not to kill themselves with the drug,
So it flips the whole theory
or
on
it's giving them the things they need in their brain chemically that the drug was giving them, basically.
Well, it's to numb pain.
Yeah,
And the lack of those things creates pain.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
I gotcha.
So basically that it turns all of our theories on its head, that it's not necessarily the chemical itself that gets its hooks into you and is the sole proprietor of your binge into addiction, that it is typically that, yes, you are, once you're down and then those drugs get their claws into you, it is a vicious cycle that spirals out of control. But it is not the drug itself, because plenty of people take drugs all the time and do not become raging addicts. How do you explain that?
Well, I mean, yeah, but you're speaking in generalities, or is that the word? Generality?
Generalities, yes, the word.
Yeah, sure.
It is.
But I mean, so many people do become addicted to these drugs.
A lot of people do, but not the majority.
No, not the majority.
And
definitely
not only not the majority, very far from the majority.
But I mean, it is the number one cause of death now.
Right.
just opiate overdose,
Right.
basically.
Right. No, it is a
You're just saying that the cause of people doing the actual drugs isn't necessarily the
the
drug
drug
itself.
itself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I would say the reason they start, no, but fuck of it. I'm sure it's very. I mean, opiates are one of the most physically addictive of all drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start, it is very difficult to. Your body becomes addicted immediately.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to become addicted in a physical manner, which probably translates into your mental aspect of addiction as well.
Sure.
But you're getting the things from that drug that you're not getting out of your community.
Yes.
So out of your life.
Yeah, or it's numbing the effects of not having those things. And so I mean, you take countries again, easy examples. Switzerland, all heroin legal, and Portugal, where they gave people access to all of these drugs, but instead of taking that money that they used to, so what they did, the money that they used to spend on criminalization, they poured all of that money into rehabilitation and getting these people's lives ingrained back into the community. And it has literally turned these countries around.
We spend so much money on outlawing drugs. It's ridiculous. But I mean, you tell someone they can't do something and they're going to want to do it, and you tell someone, I control your body, this is what you should do with your body, and they're going to want to say, fuck you, I'm going to do the things you don't want me to do.
Right.
It's just always goes back to don't try to control people's bodies.
Yeah. And then you take these same people who say they do become addicted to opiates through surgery or whatever. They're going back to the doctors and they're getting them legally. But because as a doctor in the United States, if you find out that a patient of yours is asking you for drugs because they're addicted to them, you can no longer give it to them because you will be considered a drug dealer and you will go straight to prison, right? So then you cut that person off from a safe and sure way they were getting that supply. So what do they then turn to? The streets, where it's definitely going to get them into the prison system, right? So it's just a very if treating people with punishment was a way to get them to stop doing drugs, nobody would do drugs, right? Think about it. I've been punished for doing drugs. You've been punished for doing drugs. Almost everybody we know, whether it's by the law, friends, family, have all been punished for doing drugs. But yet we still do them.
It's because of them schedules.
We still do them, right? So so punishment is clearly not a deterrent for doing drugs, right? So there's got to be another way. I know we went off on a fucking tangent.
Well, what I was gonna try to jump into for a second there, and I'm still going to, was drug scheduling. I mean, we're talking about heroin, but mostly, weed. We're referencing that. So, in your eyes, heroin, weed, those match up? Those the same thing?
No. The hooks are not the same. They have different chemical properties for sure.
Yeah, no, I was just asking. So in terms of, this is DEA.gov for drug scheduling. Schedule 1. Schedule 1 drugs, substances or chemicals are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and high potential for abuse. All right, look at that list.
Yeah, heroin.
All right,
LCD.
Heroin's basically it's like, which one does belong? The first one, heroin, very addictive, but at the same time has a medical use. They use fucking painkillers constantly.
Morphine is heroin.
It's opiates, yes.
Like, the fuck?
Okay, then you have LSD. I'd say there's definitely medical benefits there. I'd also say there's not a huge, big, a high potential for abuse on that one.
Yeah.
Cannabis. Okay, I don't believe it should be on there. We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
You got ecstasy on the same list. I can't even say the word that is. Do you know what melaqualone is? Those are quaaludes. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
That's also
I
on there.
I know.
And peyote. And then you got Schedule 2. These have some medical purpose, but also high potential for abuse. So you got Vicodin, Demerol, OxyContin,
Cocaine.
Adderall, Ritalin, fentanyl, methadone, cocaine. Yeah, cocaine's there too.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently those are all better for
Fentanyl.
you than weed.
Fentanyl, which is
on Schedule 2.
Schedule 2, dude.
It's just killing everybody.
What does it take? Like less than a grain of sand
this shit is
to
insane.
fucking murder you? That's
How do you
nuts.
even give that to a patient and it not kill them? That's what I've been wondering.
That's what I've been concerned about.
A grain of sand.
It's small.
How you cutting a grain?
bruh.
I don't even know.
You got it, buddy.
But yeah, just I mean with the schedule, and then you go down from there, and you got uh
Tylenol with codeine.
yeah, Tylenol with codeine's on schedule 3. You take 12 or you take 20 Tylenol with codeine, you're dead.
That's it.
You're dead.
But
You smoke 20 joints in a night, you're just gonna be real hungry. Tomorrow you're probably still gonna be high.
Wait, hold on. Have you taken codeine before?
Yes.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, no. Yes, I know. Yeah, you have to be of age to buy that in a drugstore.
Dude, and that's just like the watered down codeine.
Yeah.
Have you, man, medical
we
scissor.
talked about it. I haven't slurped any scissor, remember? Remember?
Not out here slurping in these
I
streets.
slurped. I haven't slurped any syrup.
Yeah, dude. I'm never gonna make the case that weed should be put in the same category as heroin and morphine. Never. But again, it's about having a more nuanced conversation because it seems like there's only two sides. It's either you're pro legalization with no concern for any legal ramifications, or you're anti marijuana and don't see any of the potential benefits and what it has done for a lot of people.
There's just got to be some type of regulation when it does become hopefully federally legal or legal in all 50 states. But I mean, what do you see as some of the medical versus some of the harmful effects of this?
So the two that I go to are for the medical. It's definitely giving people pain relief for chemotherapy, and also when you're going through chemo and very bad cancer, that it helps with appetite. It helps with my brother. This
definitely does.
This is personal. My brother has epilepsy. It helps with seizures.
Yes, it does.
So those are a few personal issues to me that I know it definitely helps with. On the flip side of that, the things that concern me are if you smoke it too early, what are the consequences of brain development? And also, you know what I mean? And also that if you take enough of it, especially edibly, that it has a very high psychoactive quality to it, and it can do the same thing a bad trip can do to somebody, where it permanently leaves them psychotic, schizophrenic.
That's something I just learned, with probably within the last year. A lot of it has to do with probably listening to Rogan episodes, but doing some research on my own as well. I had no idea it had the effect of basically if you take a strong edible or if you smoke enough weed and you're borderline schizophrenic, you could have an episode. Yeah, it could put you over the edge.
Off the edge.
It's to say that that's something that was going to happen eventually, and that just kind of pushes you to that. But that is, it's scary, but it's at the same time, everyone's brain is so different. Will be probably till the end of our race of humans, just everyone. We're not going to understand our brains.
No.
I mean, it's just too deep, too complex, and everything affects everyone differently. That's why it's hard when they put these drugs when they put weed in Schedule 1, and you're not even allowed any Schedule 1 drug. You're not allowed to do scientific experiments on it. You have to get special authorization, and even then, it's probably not the type of weed you're going to want to use for these experiments. The type of stuff people are getting from stores nowadays. But it's all over the place, like you said, because you got the federal government on the side of no medical benefits. We don't see any purpose in this, and then you got the state government saying, okay, we see tons of medical benefits.
Mostly the money, though.
Every fucking year you see somebody legalizing. I mean, I would say mostly the money. I mean, everything's about the money, yes. And you're going to make millions, if not billions of dollars in profit every year off this. And it's been proven in all these states that have legalized so far.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's got to be about your right as a person that, as Cat Williams said, it's just a plant that grows like that.
If you so happen
to set it on fire, there are some effects. And how can you take something that's that natural and want to not regulate, because it definitely should be, but want to tell someone that there's no medical benefit for you because in my brain, I don't see it. It's like, you can't tell someone that, you can't. But No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that I think it's deeper than just facts because I think the facts are so clear to this. Well, not so clear, but there's enough evidence of positive benefits that shouldn't be an argument any longer. But as you were speaking, I think of things such as what do you do about all the individuals who have been in prison for 15 years for drug charges? What do
Let
you?
them out.
It's but it's something more concrete than that because you can't do that.
Why?
That's not how our prison system is set up.
What I'm saying is, nonviolent marijuana charge in a state that is now legal, you're out. Period.
Okay.
Because I don't understand. If murder became legal tomorrow and all the people on death row
That
would
was the
just be like,
exact analogy I had in my
the
head.
fuck?
Yeah.
I just did that, and y'all said no, and now it's cool.
That's the exact. I'm not.
I mean,
that is
obviously
the
not.
exact
Obviously
analogy I
not
had
that
in my head.
extreme, but with anything. If jaywalking became legal tomorrow, and you had just fucking paid a fine 2 weeks ago for jaywalking,
Like, hold up, bro.
yeah, it's like,
what?
yo.
Yeah.
What happened with this?
Yeah.
It's just the bad thing is, it's like when something goes on sale and you just bought it.
Yeah.
Hey, how about those places that give you your money back? That
Yeah.
Amazon pays
Yeah.
the difference, right? That you used to. I don't know.
But that's the thing. It's so I'm not saying
Obama
this
tried
is
to do that at the end of his
commute
run.
a lot of sentences.
Yeah, as much as he could, I think.
Yeah, but I bring that up not to say the solution does sound simple, like let them all out, but it's obviously so much more nuanced than that. Because all right, what prison? Okay, if you were carrying a pistol, but what got you caught was weed, it just gets so fucking tricky that a lot of those people you wouldn't be able to just let out, and it would take years, if not decades, to let some of these people out. And I think those are some of the questions that people are masquerading under. Never legalize it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this is everybody, but a lot of people on that never legalize it part. I'm like, yo, what about all these people we got locked up, or how much money I'm making off of these people that are locked up?
There you go.
Right.
It's all
So
about the money.
So that's there are so many hidden arguments tucked within these two sides.
Oh, for sure.
And that's why people butt heads so much.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where somebody's coming
Well,
from.
and then as you've said, there's the people that want to say there's no harmful effects of it. It's like you're smoking something. There's harmful effects to your lungs just right there.
Yeah. Cigarettes don't get you high, but they kill you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be as bad as cigarettes just based on the chemical compounds that you're inhaling, but it's still it's combustion. It's not great for your lungs. So it's not all healthy. Obviously, there's edible forms. You can vaporize it. You can drink it now. I mean, fuck, it's
dude,
crazy.
It's getting wild, man. It's getting fucking
but
nuts.
It's not only going to have benefits, and that brings me into kind of how it goes along with kids. When it comes to regulating it, you got to think what age is too young for someone to smoke. And I know we've talked about it before, but I would much rather have my kid, if I had a kid, smoke weed with me or smoke weed than drink. But at the same time, I don't think either one of them, when your brain developing, is great for you. I remember when my brother was smoking when we were younger, and I was just like, and I was doing it, but I was like, you can't do that. Like, you're just like, it's not the right time for you or something. But I didn't even have any idea that really, as humans, our brains don't finish developing till maybe 25, something like that, and you're kind of stunning your growth a little bit. And at the same time, I mean, shit, the first time I did it, I think I was 16, 15, something like that. So I did it early on, but I think most kids go through that. But with legalizing it, you got to think it's going to be easier to get. It's going to be easier for kids to get then. Their parents are going to have it more, so it's just going to be in the house. They're going to maybe do it from a younger age. It's kind of going to maybe become like alcohol when it is legalized. So you have to think about it in that aspect. Even when it is legalized, will it still be abused by the people that are not young enough to take part legally in it, just like alcohol is? I mean, who are the largest binge drinkers? I'd probably say it's teenagers and young 20-year-olds.
Young adults.
Yeah, young adults are, in your high teens that aren't legally allowed to drink but are drinking.
Because of that aura. that you're putting around
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. Oh fuck, I'm fucked up. I'm drinking. I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, once you turn 21, it wasn't as fun.
No.
It wasn't because you weren't doing anything wrong. It
Yeah.
felt weird.
Yeah.
I remember. I was like, what the?
I can do this now. Like the whole
It's
part.
not me scratching out a thing on my ID to make my birthday 1 year earlier. It's an actual ID that says my real birthday, and I can buy alcohol.
It's because I definitely I think everybody can relate to the fact that there was that element of danger.
Oh yeah.
Of not being in the right, especially at that age.
Someone's looking at your ID and you're like, fuck, I hope they accept it. And they're like looking at you, looking at the ID, looking at you. They're like, this is nice. Give me that. I gotta go. Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, wrong store.
And dude, it's and I know for me, you know, when you're that age and you're that rebellious, you just want to do anything that's wrong.
Yeah.
And the fact that drinking is wrong plays right into that. But imagine if you made it right at that point, which is why people don't binge drink as much in Europe, because you fucking 12 having a fucking glass of wine with your fucking cinnamon toast crunch, like what the fuck?
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely that element of what's the word, like the forbidden fruit type thing, where I can't have it, which makes me want to have it even more, you know. And I had a point I was gonna make and completely fucking forget it.
Maybe if you smoked, you'd remember.
That is a hard no for me, dog. Oh no. Yeah, children developing and smoking until they're 25, because I smoked with not smoked. I was with a couple guys that were smoking last weekend. And they were smoking these what looked like crack rocks, but it was just like pure THC. Like it was like 98% or some ungodly
shatter.
Dude, that's what they were calling it.
Yeah, shatter.
I was like, these guys.
It's a sweet name,
bruh. Yeah, it's actually pretty dope, man. Look, I know, like, I can never tell when you're high because you smoke regularly and you don't
act the same either way.
You act the same either way.
I'm just always high.
Yeah. And you don't take it, but you don't take it overboard, right?
No, no.
And these motherfuckers were it was that high where it was noticeable.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Laughing their asses
Dude,
off.
It was just, it was just like, bruh, their eyes were so fucking red.
Yeah.
I was like, bruh, why do y'all want to be this high? Why do you want to be that high, bro? What's the benefit?
I remember those times.
It takes 98% THC to get you smacked, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah, that shit can get wild. I mean, it's
that's insane
nowadays
to me, bro.
It's very powerful nowadays. You know, it's more of a science experiment more than it's just growing a plant.
Bruh, you got an A at the science fair.
Crossbreeding.
You got an A at the science fair. Stop.
Genealogies and things. There was a Vice News. No, it was Vice News. It was a Vice HBO show.
Okay.
About, and I think you saw this one maybe, but it's about the guys that went hunting for the strain of super
almost
rare
died
weed.
in Africa.
No, he did die.
But he died of mosquitoes. I mean, almost got his face chopped off.
Oh
in
yes,
Africa.
yes. That's there's this Vice episode for you guys that haven't seen it where these two guys who are known for the Cannabis Cup and winning like strain of the year a couple times, they searched the world for your rarest strain, and I forget what the strain was called, but it's something that's like mythical in Africa somewhere, where they had to trek for days. I mean, there was
cross rivers and canoes and shit.
There was a part where their Jeep couldn't get through anymore, so they were just walking for days. And then they got to this village, and they're like, yeah, there's this place, and, you know, there might be a few plants. They get there, and it's just like lush green field of all these plants of this one strain that no one's ever smoked in the outside of that little, you know, village, basically.
Yeah.
And then right before they're leaving, the village realizes what they're there to do, and realizes how much they're going to profit off of it, and how they're not really going to share any of that with the village.
Fuck that.
And there were a lot of machetes being tossed around at one point. And then one of the guys ended up dying from malaria from that trip or another trip or something.
I believe it was that trip.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right
I mean, I guess he gave his life for that rare strain. So
it did win him an award.
That African Kush or whatever it was.
That motherfucker African OG. Right?
It was something crazy.
Dude, and that type of weed I would smoke. Like some natural shit like that people are just growing and it's natural to the environment. I'd smoke that shit. But these shit that these motherfucking scientists are working on in their labs, I cannot smoke that shit anymore.
Yeah,
bro.
But it's not that they're mixing it with stuff that's not natural. They're just mixing it with other plants.
But here's the thing: if
plants that would have never come across one another in the wild,
right? Exactly. That's my thing. The THC would never occur in those.
Does crossbreeding happen in the wild?
I mean, I'm sure it would take a lot.
Plants just having to grow next to each other, like, oh, what up?
What's that, girl?
What's up? You're different. Looking a little different than my normal, the sativa I'm used to over here. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I'm
get together?
I'm sure it happens, but I'm sure it takes a lot, and the odds of concentrations of that amount of THC just do not happen, dude.
Yeah, the Explained episode on Netflix, I found out how they basically
fucking retarded.
They basically sexually deprive the plants.
Yep, and
it's really fucked up.
You're just smoking cum.
You're basically smoking their sexual frustration.
You're smoking cum.
You're smoking plants.
Jizz.
Blue balls.
Yes, yes, and it's not even blue balls because it's only the female plants.
No,
remember?
But they
got rid of all the males.
Yeah,
it's only female plants now.
So she's just in
sexually frustrated females. Bruh.
Throwing out pheromones all over the place. Good thing bees don't pollinate weed, right? Or do they? Do they? Oh shit, bees about to be.
Wait. Do marijuana plants have
their flowers?
Their flower.
Yeah.
So then they might.
I mean, hey,
maybe
if you call up somebody,
that's why honey's so fucking good when you're high. That makes sense. That makes sense.
If you call up somebody and they're not trying to talk weed on the phone, you say flower, they'll know what you're talking about.
That's true. That's true. Or Christmas tree.
I mean,
That's my favorite.
In DC at least, they call it flower.
Yeah.
You get the free gift of the flowers. The botanicals is what they call them sometimes.
That is my favorite word.
Botanicals.
The botanicals.
Yeah.
That is. It has a ring to it that reminds me of like a breezy Sunday morning. You want to go to the botanicals? Yeah, nigga. I don't know where that is, but I'm going with you, bro.
The place I order from in DC sometimes they're kind of secretive. I mean, they're a little bit secretive because it's still only decriminalized in DC. But you got to use code names, and they use botanicals as the name for the.
Can I get 5 botanicals? Can I get 5 of them? Yeah.
I want the blueberry cookie botanicals, please. I heard those were in season and flowering quite nicely. Yeah, dude. With all the blooms.
You know, the last time I smoked a blunt, I was with my guy Nate Dogg. I'm gonna call him Nate Dogg.
Oh, I thought
just for anonymity purposes.
I thought you meant Nate Dogg.
Nah, that'd be great, right? His father grows his own weed, and I smoke that. And when I smoke weed like that, that's homegrown, that people are not fucking with, it gets me regular high, and I can stand that shit. But when I tell you, I can't. And I've tried many times. I've tried taking just a hit of one blunt of this new age shit or an edible, and it's just weed. Like it's real shit. Yeah,
you like
I like regular weed.
What they call it, like mids.
I like Reggie Bush.
Oh, the Reggie Bush.
I like that Reggie Bush. But I just can't because, dude, I don't want to smoke and forget why I exist. Do you see what I'm saying? I just want to. This brings
up a good. I just thought of something when you were saying that. So, if it were to become legalized, growing it would still be illegal for people. You wouldn't be able to grow it because there's no way for them to tax any part of that.
Just like moonshine.
Yeah, so it's not you can't make
it. Would just be like moonshine.
Well,
it'd be moon weed.
Well, what about people can make beer at their house though? How's that work?
You can't sell it.
Yeah, but can you make liquor and still sell it? I thought moonshining was just making it.
I do not think that you can.
The laws in this country.
I don't think you can make it. I'm pretty sure you can't make it and sell it. The selling part, I think, is the key aspect of it. But I mean, if you're growing, I imagine that a small enough amount where they will determine something is for personal use.
Hmm.
And if you're growing something that's within those parameters of personal use,
Yeah.
it's only got six
Yeah,
buds
maybe
and
so.
it
You're
weighs
right.
and
Yeah.
this many grams, you're gonna be good. But like you go one plant above that, then you could probably be fucked with. I
Man,
think they'll
they're
do
gonna,
something like that.
People are gonna find ways around that
Oh, of
somehow.
course.
Somehow.
Bro, there'll be so many underground sellers in this motherfucker, bro. Me and my boy used to grow
This
a
just
plant.
reminds me of so many stories of just times of things that happened when, like, the guy across the street from us in college, we moved into a house, me and my two good friends, and the guy across the street from the house just happened to be a dealer. And he was our age in college. It was just like, we met him out on the street drunk one night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, exactly.
Yup.
And he was like, hey, I got 4 different types of bud from Cali. And I'm like, how? Yes. Can I come in? One was called Nightshade. It was dark. It was like black
For real?
already. I was like, did you already smoke this?
Yeah.
Is this ash?
Yeah,
And it was like, no, it's just dark. It was like the color of chocolate, like a
For
chocolate colored
real,
weed. Yeah.
bro.
And it had a great smell to it. Yeah, it was called Nightshade. Yeah, and then there were all these different kinds. He told me the story about his boy driving cross country with like 8 pounds, I think 2 of each, and getting pulled over multiple times and just never getting caught. I was like, I don't understand.
I've never heard a story make me believe in Jesus more
Than that.
one.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck, bro?
He was like, Dave, I'm gonna race him.
Oh, hold on. I don't know why this made. Well, I do know why this made me think this, but when I think about smoking, the best weed I ever smoked in my life, your boy, A Dog Alex got it for me.
Oh yeah.
Strawberry cough.
Oh yeah. I remember you told me it smelled the whole locker room up, right?
Bruh.
Because you thought you had it in something good.
Stanky.
The whole locker room smelled like.
But
and
it had like this sweet kind of
Yeah.
like hint to it. So you knew you smelled weed, but you were like, nigga, did you spray your
I feel
weed
like
with
the
Febreze?
sativas normally have that sweeter taste.
You know
But
what
that's just me. I don't
Bro,
know.
it was the cleanest, most perfect high I've ever fucking had. It was. I dream about that bud. If I was ever to start smoking bud again, I would strictly only smoke strawberry cough. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And
So-
it was rated as like #1 in High Times a few years ago.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about it being labeled a gateway drug?
Here's the weird part about that. Nobody who has done meth has never smoked weed. But not everybody who smokes weed is going to do meth. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Right?
I mean, because most of the time, I
So
don't know
that's
why
basically
those-
a no.
But you smoke meth out of like a bowl type apparatus, from what I've seen.
I don't know how you do meth.
But what do you also smoke out of that type of apparatus? Weed. And a lot of people's first experiences happen to be that way, I feel like. So, yeah, maybe it sets you up for failure. I don't know. Or maybe it just gives you the tools you need to succeed in the drug game. I don't know. However you want to
Who
look at
knows?
it. If half full or half empty, however you want to look at it.
But then,
positive, negative.
So the reason I'm going to say no, that weed is not a gateway drug,
Yeah.
is because, okay, yes, everybody who does harder drugs did start smoking weed. But if everybody who smoked weed did harder drugs,
We'd all be dead.
Jesus fucking Christ, bro.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, man?
Yeah, it'd be insane.
Like, now, will smoking weed open up doors? Will you try ecstasy once or twice in your life? 5 to 6, 7. Will you try ecstasy a lot in your life? Maybe. Will you experiment on these different things? Sure. But to say that all of a sudden you're just going to become a meth head, bro, people who are going to do that are going to do that with or without weed.
Yeah, there's a couple different type of personalities within that. I think you got your addictive, like super extreme addictive, where you're gonna do whatever gets you that next level, until that level runs out, then you go to the next level.
Yeah.
That's the super addictive people. And then you have people that are more, I'd say, probably along our lines, that are experimental. Like, hey, I'm not gonna do too much because I'm not an idiot. And I'm going to do some research on it, but I'd like to see how this feels.
Dude,
every
time
they're all different.
Dude,
A lot of them.
I took Molly again. I did thorough research before I did it. Did shrooms again, and you sent me an article.
Yeah.
Thorough research before I did it again. I'm an adult now. I
Yeah,
just don't
there you go.
recklessly. And am I gonna take shrooms from somebody I don't trust? Fuck no. Am I gonna
Well,
take?
no, especially because mushrooms could just kill you outright. Like
Yes,
a bunch of
yes,
them.
facts. Am I gonna?
Mushrooms are the best and worst
Dude,
things.
you just don't know. It's a crapshoot
It
every
is.
time.
If they're grown in your yard, don't eat them. If they sell them in the store, you're probably good.
Yeah, you might be good. You know what I'm saying? So like, even though like I trust the people who gave them to me, it's like I'm still gonna do my research, make sure I'm
Yeah.
taking the right amount,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And it's like, and typically now at these times, if I'm gonna pop a Molly, I'm doing it to like relieve anxiety. I'm using it medically now, and I'm microdosing
Yeah.
more so than fucking taking a fucking
Where your whole body breaks into a sweat immediately, and you're like, I
Just
can't stand.
instantly.
My legs feel like I have food
What?
poisoning, and my forehead is dripping buckets.
Bruh, and here's
It's happened to me multiple times.
the last time I took some good fucking X, dude, I made a mistake. The biggest rookie mistake of all time. So those of you out there ready to pop one after this, take heed. Do not chew gum. It is the most retarded thing
Why?
you can do on ecstasy or Molly, bro.
Why?
Because you start chewing, you start grinding. You don't grind on, dude.
No,
You don't grind on ecstasy, bro.
no.
You
What-
just start
no,
fucking.
What I'm telling you is the gum is a good thing because then your teeth aren't touching. You're chewing the gum. You're not grinding your teeth
But see,
anymore.
but here's the thing. No, this is why I and other people have suggested don't, because if you don't have anything in there, like you could start grinding and you won't have an incentive to keep going. But when you have gum, not only did I chew that gum until it was a dust. It was dust. I've never seen gum get to that consistency, and then from like, dude, for 2 days, couldn't barely speak.
My favorite thing has always been Starbursts when you're
Oh, because you can finish those.
yeah,
That's smart.
but they also give you something to do with your teeth because your jaw's gonna be moving around a little bit.
Yeah.
You're gonna be moving around.
You're gonna
That's
do
anything that ends in the
C.
no, the amphetamine
Yeah.
category really is where that's gonna take you.
Yeah.
But then there's also that category of people, we have the super going hard addicts, the ones that experiment, and then you have the people that are just never going to do those type of things, or they have one bad experience and that turns them off forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't say I've ever had any bad trips, but I've definitely been too high before. I've had a too high experience before, and it doesn't make you want to not do it. It just makes you want to not be like that currently.
Yeah.
But later on, it's just a learning experience, and that's all we can hope people gain from us talking is a learning experience of some kind.
Dude, I'm not encouraging people to do drugs. If you did drugs before, and when I say drugs, I'm talking about, smoking weed, popping a pill every once in a while, shit like that. I ain't talking about fucking heroin and meth and crack and shit all like that. And
not talking about caffeine or alcohol either, apparently.
and of course those ones that we don't consider drugs, but that are. But I definitely wouldn't encourage people to do this. That's not why I say this. I just talk about my experience, and then I'm like, oh, this is what I got out of it. Maybe you get something similar or something not even fucking remotely close. But I get why people turn off after bad trips, because it's kind of like that mentality of, okay, I know that some people have a bad trip, have another one, and then they lose it forever, even though that's a very small subset of the population, but it does happen from time to time. So people are just worried about losing their fucking minds.
There was always stories that I've been told about people that have, and I guess it could be true now that I think about it, but people that have done LSD or acid too many times, they were like, if you did it 3 times, you're legally insane, or something like that. But there are people that have done these type of drugs, or whether it's weed, LSD, shrooms, any of these type of things, and they're completely
gone,
insane now.
They're gone.
But that was most likely because they're on that verge already, and it put them over the edge. So you need to know yourself. You need to know your background, really, your history, your family history. It has a lot to do with it. But no one should be just taking any of these things without doing some type of research on them, as we always try to get across to you guys, I think.
So true. And even if you do not have that lineage, or it's not hereditary for you, you don't have any history of mental illness, do things in moderation. Do not fucking do 5 cracks at once.
5 cracks.
But regardless of what it is, you can do pretty much anything in moderation and you can fucking be okay. But human beings, we have this thing when something makes us feel good and it relieves any type of pain or anxiety or whatever, what we do, take that shit to the motherfucking max. That ain't a good look, man.
Yeah, moderation is definitely a good thing. It's
I think that's the key to life, bro.
yeah, it could be. It could be.
It's the key to life, man. Just take it easy, bro. Relax.
So we're gonna try to wrap up from now on with I guess something that we've learned
Yeah.
each day. So if you wanna go first.
Okay. What I learned. Oh, the reptilian fucking conspiracy. I'm telling you, in a million years, if it wasn't for this podcast, that
You know about the reptilian-elite.
I do not. There's no way I find this out on my own. Actually,
Probably not. Well, maybe. You never know.
I got cornered for some fucking chemtrails, so
This
who knows?
trajectory that you're on with the podcast, you probably would have got to it eventually.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. That's
Mine is, I mean, it's definitely going to be in the conspiracy theory realm as well. I think it's the Holocaust deniers, which we didn't talk a lot about, but I read about. I didn't know that so many people either denied the Holocaust or just didn't fucking know about it. It said the stat I read was something like 54% of the world has heard of the Holocaust. So that means a good, oh God, 54, 46 is the number. Yeah, a good 46% are out here, have no idea what that is.
fuck, not believing, just don't know.
Unfortunately, I wish we could take the number out of people that just don't have access to information, across the world.
That would probably change it a bunch.
But still, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
One of these events that there's videos, there's pictures, and people still deny it. It's hard. And as we talked about earlier, there's many different reasons why people believe in these conspiracy theories, but it's really, it comes down to people as individuals, and what your brain's going to do there. So
that's all it is. There's not it's not a population thing. It's not a government thing. It's like I stress about every single time on this podcast. Individuals, man. That's all everybody is.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up, probably.
I think so too. Much love, everyone.
Conspiracies and weed.
Yeah.